A very good morning to all the students of CA Final. I am CA Shafali Jain. I am your mentor for today's session. Today's session is on paper 5, Indirect Tax Laws. And as the session name suggests, success at CA exams. So this session is for enhancing your chances of success at for the forthcoming examination, May 2026 examination, so that whatever we discuss today in today's session, that helps you in enhancing your performance, enhancing your score for the forthcoming examination. Only thing is that you need to be with us throughout this session, and we will be discussing lot many things in this session. In fact, those students who are with us in Zoom, I will request them to be interactive. Those who, to the other portal also, where you can put your queries in chat box. There also, I request all of you to please be very, very interactive. Ask your questions, whatever you want to discuss, because I would be discussing a part of what is there on your screen. I will not be discussing all these things because time is very short. 2 hours is the time which we have. So I will be focusing more on knowing the important topics, but these important topics now they are relevant for the revision purpose. Earlier they were for the examination preparation purpose. Then we'll see examination pattern, how you have to present your answers, because at this point of time now, I hope most of you would have done your preparation. So you are in the revision stage and you have to focus on your revision before the exam or during this period as well as day before exam. And moreover, how will you present your answers during the examination? What are the points you need to keep in mind? What are the do's and don'ts in the examination hall as far as this paper is concerned? So this all we'll be discussing today. Then we'll try to cover commonly committed errors also to some extent, because we know that we can learn from others' mistakes also instead of committing them on our own. So it's better if we learn from their mistakes. We do focus on the points which we will be discussing in today's session, and those points, those errors, please do not commit in the examination hall, because that is very important for you to learn. So we'll focus on that also. One thing which is not mentioned in this slide but we'll be covering is some of the technical topics. One is the baggage provisions. We have a change in baggage provisions that I will be discussing. First of all, that is the most important thing that I would be starting with. And second is few statutory updates, important amendments of the GST law, which are relevant for May 2026 examination, that I would be discussing with you all. So that will give you an idea that these are the amendments which are relevant for the forthcoming examination. So without any further time, without taking any further time, let me start with the session. I request all of you who are there in YouTube, who are there in other portals, or who are sending their queries through chat box, try to be in Zoom. Try to log in through the portal, BoS Knowledge portal, so that you directly come join through the Zoom portal. There you will be able to ask your queries in a better manner, and you will be able to be more interactive also. So keep posting your queries in the chat box so that we can stay tuned. Now, first is you have to stay motivated throughout this period, which starts from today and till the day your examination are convened. So these are some of the success stories which we have, that one of the student who was uh, virtually impaired, whose vision was impaired, but then also he became a chartered accountant. Then we have Prerna Jayakumar, who was the daughter of a auto rickshaw driver, and she also became AIR1. She scored rank 1 in CA Final 2012 examination. So we have so much privilege. If we see these students, we have so much privilege available with us, but still we feel that no, we are struggling, or we have so much to we are sacrificing so much. But see their sacrifices, seeing their sacrifices, you will be able to see that yes, this is actually this was the student which I was talking about earlier, visually impaired student who became a chartered accountant in 2012 2013 attempt, and his name was J Rajashekar Reddy. In fact, the previous student which I was referring to, he was not the one. He was a student who was actually the son of a farmer. He failed twice and then he scored AIR1. So generally when we fail in any attempt, people also tag us in that manner, that now you will not be able to achieve much, or you have become you have seen failure. So getting a rank after being failed in some of the attempts seems to be very impossible to all of us. But these students have actually made it possible, or these students have actually made us believe that yes, we can, if anybody has failed in any of the previous attempts, then also they can achieve success and they can be meritorious also in the subsequent attempts. Only thing is they require dedication, perseverance, and persistence, because continuously you have to make the efforts and then you can achieve the success. So these are some of the stories which I wanted to share again to make you feel that you have so much privileges with you. Only thing is that you have to work on your work towards your goal. So Mr. C.A. Tarachand Agrawal, you know that he was at the age of 71, he became a chartered accountant. So age is also no bar. If you can do at the age of 71, you all are so young, you can do it at this age. So be motivated. Now, quickly we'll go through the indirect tax laws examination pattern, and then I will tell you the baggage change. That is very, very important for May 26 examination. So first of all, we'll just have a quick look at the examination pattern and then I will tell you that amendment. See, for indirect tax laws paper, we have two parts. Part 1 is GST, 80 marks. Part 1 is GST and part 2 is customs and FTP. 80 and 20 is the weightage. All of you know this. In the examination, if you see, there are two sections. Division 1 or Division A has MCQs. Division B has descriptive portion. Now, in Division A, that is MCQ portion, or it is important to note that the GST MCQs will carry a weightage of 26 marks, whereas the customs and FTP MCQs will be carrying a weightage of 4 marks. That means there will be 2 MCQs on customs because each MCQ will carry 2 marks. You know that all the MCQs which are tested in the examination, they are based on application and analysis of the provisions. So there is no direct or theory based MCQs which are tested in the examination. So there will be 2 MCQs for customs and 13 MCQs for. Now for customs, we will be having small scenarios based on which the MCQs will be asked. One scenario, one MCQ. So there will be 2 scenarios and 2 MCQs will be there. In GST, there will be 2 to 3 scenarios based on which you will be asked the questions. So answer to all the MCQs will arise from the case scenarios. Now you would have got a fair idea of these case scenarios and MCQs relating to them through the mock test papers, revision test papers. In fact, if time permits, we'll take one case scenario also to let you know how you have to answer these case scenarios. In fact, any query which any of you have or you want me to take during this session, if you want to know how to answer MCQs or what are the points you need to take into consideration while examination, revision, or while appearing in the examination, you can please try to put it in the chat box so that I can take it during the session. Now, this was regarding the MCQs. This was 30 marks portion and all the questions are compulsory. You do not have any choice in that. Now, second part is the descriptive part. In descriptive part, you know that the first question is a compulsory question. Now, it is a 14 marks question and in this compulsory question, no customs question is asked. So, this will be a 14 marks question which generally tests the net GST payable in cash. You have to compute, generally you have to compute net GST payable in cash. So it is a comprehensive question which tests or which helps or which pushes you to apply all the provisions, all the core provisions of GST, all the substantive provisions of GST. Now, substantive provisions, when I say, that means from supply to ITC chapter. If I go by your study material, chapter 1 to chapter 7, all the chapters are included in the substantive provisions, and based on those provisions, this descriptive question, compulsory question, is to be answered. So that carries 14 marks. One question will be their big question. Then we'll be having 5 more questions, and in each question there will be 2 parts. 10 marks will be for GST and 4 marks will be for customs. So for customs, generally 1 4 marks question is asked. For GST, there can be either a complete 1 10 marks question or there will be subparts, 2 to 3 subparts for 10 marks question. So this is how your question paper appears. Most of you would be aware of this pattern, but I just wanted to have a quick glance at this so that we can, in order to create a momentum for the session. Because some students who are not aware of this, they will feel lag behind and they will not be able to correlate with what I would be discussing with you during the session after this. Applicable provisions for May 2026 examination is Finance Act 2025 will be applicable. Now, please remember that for January 2026 examination, Finance Number 2 Act 2024 was applicable. For May 2026 examination, Finance Act 2025 is applicable. Apart from that, notifications and circulars which have become effective till 31st October 2025. So all the amendments which became effective till 31st October 2025 are applicable for your examination. Now, so for this, what you need to refer, because for the forthcoming examination, these are some of the BoS publications which you cannot leave for the examination. Don't leave these publications. To this, I will add one more publication, and I would like to tell it in the beginning itself so that you do not forget to do that. That is booklet on case scenarios. Please mark my words, everybody who is there in the session, booklet on case scenarios for paper 5 indirect tax laws has been updated as per the provisions of May 2026, because the last booklet was as per the provisions which were applicable for May 26, May 25, September 25, and January 26. Now this booklet is updated for May 26 examination. So that means in earlier booklet we had considered Finance Act 2024, Finance Number 2 Act 2024, and notifications and circulars up to that date which were relevant for the relevant examinations. In this booklet, which is relevant for May 2026 onwards, complete 1 year cycle it will be there, May and November. Now we have November exams. So at the time when booklet was published, we had 3 attempts. Now we have 2. So it is relevant for May 26 and November 26. Now that booklet contains the updated position as per Finance Act 2025, as well as notifications and circulars issued till 31st October 2025. So please refer that booklet. It has 20 additional scenarios also. So overall, now the number of, you will get 55 case scenarios to practice your case scenarios. So generally students get very panic that case scenarios we are not able to answer. It takes a lot of time to read the scenario, and in examination it takes a lot of time to attempt the MCQs also. Though we need not mention the reasons, but still we feel that they take a lot of time. So for that, I would say that please practice the case scenarios through booklet on case scenarios. That will help you in improvising your speed of reading the scenario, relating the facts of the scenario and the questions which have been asked after the scenario, and thereafter how the application of provisions to arrive at the correct answer. But this requires a practice, and for that you should start from today itself. Please start practicing from the case scenario booklet. Try to attempt solve at least 2 scenarios per day from the booklet, so that till examination day you have completed substantial number of scenarios, and you are in a position to answer the scenarios in the examination in an improvised manner. So if you start this practice, you will definitely get better with the scenario attending. The procedure for attending the case scenario is very simple. You have to first go through the case scenario, have a quick reading of the case scenario, then read one by one. You have to read the MCQ. So read first MCQ and try to go back again to the scenario and locate the facts which are relevant for answering that first MCQ. Then second, third, fourth, and fifth, so on. So for every MCQ, you have to see that when I had gone through the case scenario, what were the facts which were relevant for determining the correct answer. So locate those facts, and then after applying the relevant provision, you have to arrive at the correct answer. So this is how booklet on case scenario has to be used and how it will help you in appearing for the examination MCQ portion. Now the other publications. Study material, you know, it is the base and you cannot leave it. Plus with study material, I will straight away come to the fourth box, that is statutory update. Now study material is updated till 30th April 2025. And it has the amendments of Finance Act 2025 given at the end of each chapter. Reason was that till 30th April 2025, the amendments of Finance Act 2025 had not become effective, and that is why they were given at the end of the chapter. They were not given effect to in the chapter. But now these amendments have become effective. Finance Act amendments have become effective. So you all are advised to refer the chapter along with the Finance Act amendments given at the end of each chapter. Plus, the statutory update, which contains the relevant notifications and circulars from 1st May till 31st October. So this period you have to, for this period, the amendments have been given in the form of the statutory update. Please make it a point to refer the statutory updates. We'll try to cover as much as possible in the statutory update, because today we have our target of completing statutory update, plus we want to take a scenario also, so that you get an idea how you have to attempt it in the examination. Revision test papers already have been released a month back, and I hope some of you or most of you would have referred them. They contain some questions for your assessment, for your revision purpose. You can refer these questions and try to attempt these questions on your own, so that you can understand that the areas where you still are lacking or where you have to improvise your preparation. So try to attempt them on your own. Mock test papers, you all know that you have to attempt in exam-like conditions. Some of you would have gone to the branches also for taking the mock test papers. Those who have not yet appeared for mock test papers, I would suggest that please attempt them in the exam-like conditions. Take a 3 hours time at a stretch, sit at one place, don't get distracted by anything, and try to attempt a full mock test paper under exam-like conditions. That will help you in locating if you are somewhere, lacking the time management skills, or some areas you are not able to attempt that speedily. So you will get your exam preparation, you will get an idea that how prepared you are for the examination, or for the what are the areas you have to improve. So basically, first is the time management of all. Try to attempt at least one mock test paper, and if possible, both the series of the mock test paper you should attempt. Then we have Saransh referencer. Saransh has been updated for May 2026 examination, and it is updated till 31st October 2025. So please refer the Saransh booklet. That will help you in revising day before exam. So I generally advise the students to customize any revision material which you want to refer day before exam today itself. You should know that yes, this is the material from which I would be revising day before exam, but this material should have everything which I would be referring that day. So if some circular, some point of the provision you want to add to your Saransh, or any of the other reference material which you want, revision material you are referring, you have your own notes, that can also be a revision material. But whatever you are referring for revision day before exam, that material please prepare today itself and revise. At this point of time, whatever revision you are doing, that revision should be done from that revision material itself. So you can use Saransh also. We have tried to make pictorial representation of the entire indirect tax law material. There you can add the points you want to refer before examination. You can add the questions, the points which you have drawn from the questions, the application and analysis based questions given in study material, in your mock test papers, in your RTPs, which you want to revise day before exam. So those points also you should make a list and you should revise day before exam. That will help you. Then we come to the most important point which I wanted to highlight today, and that is the baggage duty concessional rate. For May 2026 examination, in fact, we have made this applicable by way of a corrigendum. In study material, this point is not there, but I request the students to please go through the corrigendum as well as the revised chapter 5 of module 4 of the study material. Chapter 5 has been revised to take into account all these changes, which I would be discussing just now. So please pay attention to these changes of baggage rules, baggage duty, not baggage rules per se. There is no change in rules per se, but yes, the rate of baggage duty has changed. And two more things are there, two more changes are there, which you should know, which you have to take into account for May 2026 examination. So everybody who is appearing for May 26 onwards exams, please pay attention towards the baggage changes, which you have to take into account for the forthcoming exam. The concessional rate of baggage duty. Earlier it was 35% plus social welfare surcharge at the rate of 10%. That makes it 38.50. That was the earlier position. Now this has changed to 35%. So the rate of baggage will now be rate of duty which you have to apply on baggage duty, concessional rate of duty, wherever you have to apply, you will apply only 35%. You will not apply social welfare surcharge because that has been exempted. So that I hope is clear to you. Rate is 35%. Very clearly I have mentioned on the slide so that you don't have any confusion. Now one more point. This 35% concessional rate will not apply to these items which are there on your screen. It will not apply to firearms, cartridges of firearms exceeding 50. So if more than 50 cartridges of firearms are being imported, 35% rate will not apply. On firearms, 35% rate will not apply. Then more than cigarettes, if cigarettes of more than 100 sticks, more than 100 sticks of cigarettes have been imported, then 35% rate will not apply. Cigars more than 25 and tobacco more than 125 grams. In these cases, and moreover goods imported through a courier service, then 35% rate will not apply. Notification 26 by 2016 provides this, that these items will not be subject to 35% concessional rate. Just go through this screen carefully so that I can move to next screen and tell you the other provision. Hope it is clear to you that on these products, these goods, 35% concessional rate will not apply. We'll take a question also to understand how we have to apply this. Now we come to the standard rate of baggage duty. Now, 35% rate of baggage duty is the concessional rate. And that is not the standard rate of baggage duty. अगर आप baggage duty जो baggage का जो rate tariff में दिया हुआ है, customs tariff में, entry heading 9803 heading है, जो कि baggage की है, उसमें जो rate दिया हुआ है, that has been changed from 100% to 70%. Earlier that was 100%. बट जो लोग May 26 के एग्जाम दे रहे हैं, आई वुड सजेस्ट देम आप पुराना अब मत सोचो. यू हैव टू जस्ट सी व्हाट आई एम टेलिंग यू नाउ सो दैट यू डोंट गेट कंफ्यूज्ड. Standard rate of baggage duty is 70%. So whatever is subject to concessional rate of baggage duty, whatever products, they will be taxed at the rate of 35% duty, and whatever is not included in the concessional rate, that has to be subject to the standard rate. So firearms and cartridges of firearms exceeding 50 are not included in the baggage concessional rate of baggage duty. So they shall be subject to 70% rate. Then we come to the alcoholic liquor or wine more than 2 liters and cigarettes more than 100, cigars more than 25 and tobacco more than 125. These products are not subject to the baggage duty standard rate also. So these products will be subject to the respective rates which are applicable on them. So whatever rate is applicable to wine, different type of wines, if they have different rates, then different rates will be applicable. Cigars, if they have whatever rate is applicable to cigars, cigarettes, tobacco, these goods, whenever imported as baggage also, they will be subject to that rate only, whatever is applicable on these goods. Now let us take a question to understand this particular change. If anybody from the students who are there with me, if anybody wants to ask any query, you can put it in the chat box or you can ask me directly. Otherwise, I will proceed with the question. Till now, I hope nobody has any doubt, and this question will also makes it more clear that what is the exact provision of baggage or how you have to apply the baggage duty. Any questions? Okay, so let us start with the question. Sarah of Germany, because we have tried to, the questions of the study material, they have been revised and uploaded on the BoS knowledge portal. Corrigendum has been issued. For other questions which we had earlier given in the form of RTP or some examination questions, we have put it in the MTP, mock test paper. So in both mock test papers, you will find that the questions testing these provisions and letting you know of these changes have been incorporated. We have incorporated the questions of baggage in our mock test papers also, which will let you know the changes or what is the changed answer to the questions which were asked earlier prior to these changes. So what is the correct answer or latest answer? Because as per the latest provisions, what will be their answer that we have given in the mock test papers. One question which was left, I would be taking today so that all your queries, all your doubts are clear and you get clear with these provisions. Sarah of Germany, a person of foreign origin, has come to India on a tour travel visa. She carries with her following parts as baggage: 140 sticks of cigarette, travel souvenir, other articles carried on in person, and firearm with 110 cartridges. Now, value per cartridge is 510 rupees per cartridge. Let us see the solution. You have to determine the duty payable. Now, Okay, I have got one query. Let me see. Do we have to make note of 70% rate below the answer while answering? Jayant has asked me a question that whether this 70% note is required or not. If Jayant question asks you the custom duty, concessional rate of customs duty or concessional baggage duty is asked, then you need not mention this note. But yes, if you are asked to compute the baggage duty or customs duty payable, total customs duty payable will include, but yes, this note you have to give at the end. So let us see the solution. Yes. So 100 cigarettes are allowed at the concessional rate. So that we will compute 100 sticks. I will once again go back to the question. Question says 120 rupees per stick rate is there. So if I take 100, when I say 100 is allowed at the concessional rate, that means 100 into 120, that is 12,000. This much amount is allowed in general free allowance or at the concessional rate. This can be accommodated in the general free allowance or at the concessional rate you can pay duty. Travel souvenir is allowed totally duty free. In fact, personal effects, travel souvenirs, all these are allowed duty free. Articles carried on in person, they will be taken fully. That is 1,25,500. Now, firearms cartridge. Firearms cartridge, 50 cartridges can be accommodated in general free allowance. So that will be taken as 50 into 510 was the rate, if you remember. I am just once again taking you to the previous slide. So rate for cartridges was 510 per cartridge. And how many cartridges are allowed duty free at the lower rate? 50 cartridges are allowed. So 50 cartridges into 510, that is 25,500 will be taken in the at the concessional rate. Now total value comes to 1,63,000. This is the baggage that can be accommodated in general free allowance. From this, we will be reducing the general free allowance. So please try to pay attention towards this, that there is no change in baggage rules. So general free allowance amount is still the same, but the duty which has to be paid, that has changed. Now that will be payable at the rate of 35%. So 1,48,000 till this point, the solution is same. Rate of duty will be 35% and therefore the final duty amount will change. So first change is 35%. Now second change is the regarding the card. So we have two things. If you see the question, we have two things here which are not allowed at the exceeding, which have some quantity which cannot be accommodated at the concessional rate. One is cigarette and another one is the firearms. Okay, so what treatment we'll be giving to them? Cigarettes of firearms exceeding 50, sorry, cartridges of firearm cartridges exceeding 50, cigarettes exceeding 100, they cannot be taxed at the rate of 35%. That much we know. I hope this is clear to you all. कि जो आप ये वाली गुड्स हैं, अगर वाइन होती तो 2 लीटर से ऊपर की वाइन, सिगार more than 25, tobacco more than 125, that is not there in this question. These items will not be taxed at the rate of 35%. तो इनको हमने उस टेबल से बाहर निकाल लिया है. अब हम इसको सिर्फ नोट में ये लिखेंगे कि cartridges of firearms exceeding 50 and cartridges cigarettes exceeding 100, they are not chargeable to duty at the applicable rate to baggage or concessional rate applicable to baggage. Cartridges of firearms, they shall be chargeable at the rate of 70%. Cigarettes exceeding 100 sticks, they shall be chargeable at the respective tax rates. अगर wine होती, cigars होते, cigarette है, या आपकी tobacco है, specified quantity से ज़्यादा है, तो उसके ऊपर नहीं, allowance 12,000 हमने इसलिए लिया है. Let me complete first of all. तो उसके ऊपर आपका respective rate लगेगा. Cigarettes के ऊपर whatever rate is applicable as per the tariff. So we will not go to baggage. For cigarettes, we will see the actual rate which is applicable on cigarettes as per the customs tariff, normal rate or standard rate on cigarettes, that will be applicable. I hope this is clear to you all. I have got one question. Let me come to the computation table again. Yes. So 12,000 we have taken because we can accommodate cigarettes, only 100 sticks of cigarettes we can accommodate in general free allowance. And if I come to the question again, question says rate of each cigarette is 120 rupees, Anand. So 120 into 100, because only 100 can be accommodated in the general free allowance, or only 100 can be dutiable at the concessional rate, that is 35% rate. So therefore 100 sticks into 120 rupees, that will make it 12,000 rupees. and the amount exceeding that, that means total sticks which we have got is 140. So 40 sticks at the rate of 120 will be taxed at the rate of 70%. Okay, you got this point? Okay. So this was the most important point which I wanted to highlight to all the students so that they are aware of this particular change. Moreover, I would suggest you that when I told you that you have to refer the study material, please ensure that you refer the corrigendum also, which we post along with study material. That contains the any kind of corrections, modifications which we got to know, any addendum, any provision which we want to add. That also we add there in the study material. Plus, you have to refer to the statutory update. In fact, I will refer the statutory update for the May 2026 examination. We'll just quickly go through some of the amendments, and thereafter we will take scenario and some other amendments. In fact, I will tell you a few presentation related points also that will help you. In fact, if any of you want any other specific doubts, or you want to ask any examination related queries, you can put it in the chat box. You can ask me, or you can ask through the other portal also. Okay, so we are starting with the statutory update for May 26 examination. See, on the very starting initial pages of the statutory update, this box mentions that all the amendments made by Finance Act 2025 have become effective and they are applicable for May 2026 examination. So please do not leave them. Whatever tables have been given at the end of the chapter containing the amendments which were made or proposed by Finance Act 2025, which had not yet become effective at the point of time when study material was made. They had been given at the end of the chapter, because you know that in GST, the amendments of Finance Act does not get effective immediately. All the states have to first ratify that those amendments, and then finally one date is notified. From that date, these amendments become effective. I hope this point is clear to you all. From that date, that becomes effective. Okay. So these are the amendments of the statutory update which we'll be discussing. It contains, so study material is up to 30th April. From 1st May 2025 till 31st October 2025, whatever amendments are there, they have been covered in this statutory update, and we'll be discussing them one by one. We'll try to be a little bit quick so that we can cover all the amendments and other points also which I want to discuss with you. Few presentation related points which will definitely help you in examination. First of all, let me please tell me in the chat box whether this amendment you are able to see clearly, or do I need to zoom it for visibility? Please let me know. I hope this is visible. I hope this is visible to you all. Okay, I hope it would have been visible, otherwise you would have mentioned. Okay. Yes. Okay, thank you, Jayant, Lakshmi Narayan, Gurveen, and Pisini Sai Sandeep. So thanks for confirming. Now we'll start with the first amendment. See, you know that Section 9, subsection 5 of the CGST Act and Section 5, subsection 5 of the IGST Act, it notifies certain services on which the tax will be paid by the electronic commerce operator. Certain services which are provided through an electronic commerce operator, they have been notified, out of which certain services have been notified. On those services, electronic commerce operator will pay the tax. Now, one important point is that here only services are included. No goods have been notified, or no goods can be notified. Section provides only about services, that in case of few services which will be notified, tax will be paid by the electronic commerce operator. So in a kind, it is an extension of the reverse charge mechanism. In case of reverse charge mechanism, tax is paid by the recipient, though it has to be paid by the supplier. So we has reversed the tax paying mechanism. Instead of supplier, recipient pays tax under reverse charge mechanism. In case of Section 9(5) or 5(5), electronic commerce operator pays tax, although the supplier of respective goods or services through the electronic commerce platform should have paid that tax. So that tax should have been paid by a particular person, but electronic commerce operator has been made liable to pay that tax. Now let us see what were the services which were notified, because in this list one addition has been made. Now, notification 17 by 2017 or 14 by 2017 of IGST Act. So these two respective notifications notify these services. This list you already know: services of transportation of passengers by radio taxi, motor cab, maxi cab, motorcycle, or any other motor vehicle. Only omnibus has been excluded from this. Service by way of transportation of passengers by an omnibus, because omnibus was excluded from the first clause. And why it was excluded? Because omnibus transportation of passengers by an omnibus will be, a tax on that will be paid by electronic commerce operator only when the person supplying such service is not a company. If the transportation of passengers by an omnibus is provided by a company, then that company will pay the tax. Then clause 3 provides services by way of providing accommodation in hotels, inns, guest houses, clubs, campsites, or other commercial places meant for residential or lodging purpose. So any accommodation related services, tax will be paid by electronic commerce operator. But exception is where the person providing such service is exceeding the threshold limit applicable to him and he is liable for registration, then in that case he has to obtain the registration and he has to pay the tax. अगर आप इसका इंटेंट देखो तो इंटेंट बहुत सिंपल है कि जहां पर सप्लायर जो है ही इज अ स्मॉल सर्विस प्रोवाइडर, यानी वो अभी उसकी थ्रेशोल्ड लिमिट एक्सीड नहीं हुई है. अकोमोडेशन सर्विसेज इफ दे आर बीइंग प्रोवाइडेड बाय अ स्मॉल service provider and he has not exceeded the threshold limit as provided under section 22(1), then in that case electronic commerce operator will provide the tax. Otherwise, the person who is supplying such service, he will provide the tax if he is registered or he is liable to register. Then next was housekeeping services. Same is for housekeeping services for some, such as plumbing, carpentering, etc. That the electronic commerce operator will pay the tax if person supplying such service is not liable to register. Restaurant service. In restaurant service, the other than specified premises, restaurants located at specified premises, other than that, whatever restaurant services are being supplied, electronic commerce operator is going to pay the tax. Now, these were the entries which were already there. Now, what has been added to this list is the services by way of local delivery, except where the person supplying such services through electronic commerce operator is liable for registration under section 22 subsection 1. Now, this second part where we say the person supplying such service through ECO is liable to obtain registration or liable for registration under section 22(1). This is common in above clauses also. If you see in clause D or in clause C, such type of words are coming that yes, if the person providing such services is himself registered or is liable to register, then he will pay the tax. Now, who all are covered in this services by way of local delivery? I will give you an example. For example, through Swiggy, you have ordered your food and a delivery. Now, as soon as you deliver the food, you are allocated a delivery partner and he brings your food from the restaurant to your home. So he is the delivery person, delivery boy. We are talking about the services provided by these delivery boys. Now, what was happening before this amendment and why this amendment was brought? That will help you in understanding the amendment in a better manner. Before this amendment, also, these delivery boys, you know that when you order something from any of the quick commerce sites or food delivery website, these apps, they charge you the delivery charges. They take delivery charges from you or handling charges from you. So whatever delivery charges are being taken, or what e-commerce websites were doing, they were allocating some amount to the delivery charge in the name of delivery charges to these delivery boys. They were giving them some delivery charges. Now, on these delivery charges, they were showing that these are the charges which they are paying to these delivery boys for undertaking the delivery of a particular food item or grocery or whatever it is. And in lieu of that, that would be on the tax or GST on those delivery charges will be paid by these delivery persons. Now, these delivery persons mostly, in most of the cases, they are unregistered. And because of that, that amount was not being taxed anywhere. So in order to bring that into the text net, the government has introduced this particular entry. Now, the GST on those delivery charges will be paid by the ECO itself, because in most of the cases, these delivery persons will be unregistered persons and they will not be paying any tax. And here also we have mentioned that in case these delivery boys are unregistered, or not liable to register, then only electronic commerce operator will pay the tax. Otherwise, these delivery persons or the persons who are providing local delivery services, if they are registered, they will pay the tax on their own. So this is very fair and very clear situation which has arisen, that when the delivery boys are registered or delivery persons, maybe a company, maybe a small enterprise is providing delivery services. So if that particular person who is providing the delivery services, local delivery services, if they are themselves registered, then they will pay tax on their own. But if they are providing services, they are not registered and they are providing local delivery services, then these delivery services will be taxed, or will be tax on these services will be paid by the electronic commerce operator. So I hope this is clear to you all, this particular amendment. That services by way of local delivery, except when person supplying such services is himself liable to register or is registered, then in that case, tax will be paid by the electronic commerce operator. This is the amendment. Next amendment is change in tax rates. Now, you know that GST 2.0, which was introduced in the month of September 2025, it brought lot many changes, and one of which was the rate rationalization. That the rate of GST, we had different rates of GST, though we had started the concept of GST with one nation, one tax, one rate of tax also. So we were nowhere near to one rate of tax. So in order to get nearer to the objective of one or uniform rate of tax, one rate of tax, the 12% tax rate was abolished, and because of that, two important services which we cover in the reverse charge mechanism. Now, because why I am telling you this, I am covering only two services, because these two services are covered under the reverse charge notification, and because of which we have apprised you with their respective rates. Otherwise, the rates of GST on goods and services are outside the scope of your syllabus. Students are not expected to know the rates of GST. This we always mention in our questions. We always give you rates. So those rates you have to apply. In fact, sometimes some students ask us that in question, if correct rate is not given, suppose you know the correct rate and question is considering some hypothetical rate for a particular service or a particular product, then also we suggest them that whatever is given in the question, you have to follow that. If you are very sure of the rate which is actual rate, then you can give a note also that this is the actual rate, but since question says this, I am applying this. But however, whatever rate is given to you in the question, that is the rate you have to apply in your answers. Now, coming back to this point, in case of GTA, there are two rates. One is 5%, and earlier there was another rate which was 12%. And the provision of reverse charge used to say that if 12% rate is applicable, that means the GTA has decided to pay tax himself. GTA has two options: either it can decide to pay tax itself, or it can get the tax paid by under reverse charge mechanism through its recipients. And that we know that they should be the specified recipients. They are factory, society, registered person, casual taxable person. If these are the recipients, body, corporate, if these are the partnership firms, if these are the recipients, then in that case, the recipient will pay the tax. But in that case, the tax will be payable at the rate of 5%. And moreover, GTA should not have exercised the option to pay tax itself. Now, these two rates were 12% and 5%. If GTA is paying tax itself, it can opt 12% or 5%. If it has not opted to pay tax itself, then tax will be paid by the recipient, and then the rate applicable will be 5%. Now, I will tell you what 5% and 12% has regarding ITC. If GTA has opted for 5% rate, then it will not get ITC on any of its inputs or input services. But if GTA opts for 12% rate, that was the previous rate. Please, I am once again telling 12% was the earlier rate that is not applicable for May 26. That rate has been changed. I will tell you what it has actually changed to. It is there on your screen also. So 12% rate ITC was available on the inputs, and in case ITC of inputs and input services was available to the goods transport agency, if it decides to pay tax at the rate of 12%. But rate of 12% is only applicable when GTA itself decides to pay the tax. Rate of 5% was available in both cases. In case of reverse charge, rate tax has to be paid only under 5%, or GTA also had an option to pay tax at the rate of 5%, but then it will not get any ITC on its inputs, input services, and capital goods. Now, this 12% rate has been changed now to 18%, or 9% CGST and 9% SGST or UTGST. So this 12% rate, as we already discussed, it has been abolished and it has been changed to 9%, 6% has been changed to 9%, and 12% has been changed to 18% respectively. Hope this is clear to you all. Similar changes there in another entry in reverse charge notification. So that, in fact, now the notification of reverse charge notification does not have any reference to rates, but these rates are relevant for you for appearing in the exam while attempting the question in the examination. Because if it is given to you that GTA has not opted to pay tax itself, then you should know that rate of tax which is applicable now will be 5%. To this extent, it can be tested in the examination. We do not test any rate from the students, but this is very limited application which can be asked in the examination, because otherwise we will not be able to test the reverse charge point from the students. If everything be given the question itself, then there will be no point of testing you. So I hope that is clear. Okay. Same is the case with the taxability of rent service by way of renting of motor vehicle. Now, if any motor vehicle is being rented, where cost of fuel is included in the consideration, where supplier is a non-body corporate, whereas the recipient is a body corporate, then in these cases, if these conditions are satisfied, now this motor vehicle is rented for transportation of passengers, so all these conditions are satisfied, and the rate charged is not 5%, it is the other rate. That other rate is, earlier it was 12%, now it is 18%. Then reverse charge rate should not be 18%. Then reverse charge provisions will be applicable and tax will be payable at the rate of 5% by the recipient. That 12% rate has now changed to 18%. This was only this much change which has taken place in these 2 points. So there is no change in reverse charge notification per se, but the rates have changed, so the implication will change. Any questions anybody want to ask till this point? So we have covered the amendments which are there in charge of GST. After this, I will take you to the, so in between, I will keep on flipping through the statutory update as well as with the presentation related queries or commonly committed errors also, because I don't want to leave that altogether. So let us now take few presentation related issues. This I will take later on. This we'll be covering in the statutory update. Now, important topics regarding indirect tax laws, you know that you have to refer the section-wise and skill-wise weightage. I'm quickly taking you through the section and skill-wise weightage. After that, we'll take the presentation skills. So in case of the GST law, the most important topics are the core provisions of GST or the substantive provisions, which are levy, supply, exemptions, time, value, place, and input tax credit. So from chapter 1 to chapter 7 are the most important chapters. If you see, almost 50% of the GST portion will be from this particular section. So this tells you how important it is. इस क्वेश्चन को करने से पहले ही आपको ये पता चल जाता है कि इसमें से ही 50% पेपर अगर आना है तो आप उसको कितना thoroughly करोगे ये आपको पता होना चाहिए. Second most important section is the enforcement provisions, which contains demand, recovery, offences, penalties, appeals revisions, advanced ruling ethics. मॉड्यूल 3 के चैप्टर्स हैं, आपको इनको भी बहुत thoroughly करना है because they have 15 to 30% of weightage. And the third weightage, or almost similar weightage, is to the procedural law that contains registration, tax invoice, e-way bill, returns, payments, refunds, job work, and liability. Last comes the other, the miscellaneous provisions, administration, assessment, audit, inspection. They had a weightage of 0 to 5%. So maybe they might not ask in the examination, or if they ask, they carry a weightage of 5%. In case of the customs law also, most, or you can say highest weightage is of the substantive provisions of law, which are the levy, valuation, classification, and types of custom duties. So first 4 chapters has the highest weightage. Almost 50% of the paper will again be from first 4 chapters in customs, that is the substantive provisions. दोनों laws में आप देखोगे substantive provisions की almost 50% की weightage है. Then second highest weightage is for the procedural law, that is the sorry, one slide ahead. Second most important section is the import and export procedures, warehousing, refund, and the basic concepts relating to export promotion schemes provided under FTP. This has a weightage of 20 to 45%. Then we have the foreign trade policy as well as introduction to customs law, which carries a weightage of 10 to 20%. Now, this weightage is very, very important from the revision point of view also. When you would be revising the concepts day before exam, you have to prioritize it in this sequence only. सबसे पहले जो सबसे important section है उसके सारे provisions, उसके सारे questions जो आप देखना चाहते थे, जो concepts आपको thorough करने थे, वो सब कुछ पहले आपको you have to be very thorough and you have to have the in-depth understanding or revision of the concepts, because at that time you cannot have any new concept understanding, but whatever concepts, core concepts are there, you have to do the thorough revision. उसका एक एक कॉन्सेप्ट आपको अच्छे से क्लियर होना चाहिए. सप्लाई की डेफिनेशन, उसके सारे शेड्यूल्स, चार्ज ऑफ जीएसटी में, रिवर्स चार्ज मैकेनिज्म की पूरी नोटिफिकेशन में आपको सप्लायर रेसिपिएंट एग्जैक्टली पता होना चाहिए. Then composition levy is there. Exemptions में major exemptions are there. If you talk about healthcare, agriculture, legal services, education sector, then services provided to government, services provided by government. These are the major areas which you have to focus on under the exemptions chapter. Then comes the place of supply. There we have the domestic transactions as well as we have the cross-border transactions. Both are equally important at final level. At intermediate level, we do not cover cross-border transactions, so they become more important at the final level because they are tested only at the final level. So the cross-border transactions, or you can say the export-import transactions, they are more important wherever import-export is also there. That is tested only at the final level. Then time of supply provisions. In time of supply, the change in rate of tax is tested only at the final level. And in fact, we have amendment also. This time we have the amendment of vouchers in time of supply. Earlier, we had the amendment in case of the section 13.3, there was an amendment. So question had come based on that. Based on the amendment, generally questions are asked. Then the value of supply. So in value of supply, section 15 is there, plus all the valuation rules. Valuation rules are tested only at the final level, so they are also very important. And last is the input tax credit. All the conditions of eligibility for input tax credit, blocked credit, then we have reversal provisions. Everything is very, very important. So be very thorough in all these chapters, and then you should proceed towards the procedural laws. Now I come to the presentation point. So how you have to present your answers. While presenting your answers, we always suggest that start with the answer to which you know the best. An answer should be based on the applicable position of law, the latest position of law which is applicable on 31st October 2025. So if any position pertained before that, you should not go to that. Sai Sandeep is asking, what is the right approach and strategy to solve comprehensive question to secure maximum marks? Also, what is the strategy for securing exemption in IDT paper? I need your valuable advice and guidance. See, Sai, whatever advice I am giving you, when you are talking about the exemption, whatever points I am telling you, if you take into consideration all those points, exemption is possible for you. I will keep on telling these points in between the session because I am taking some statutory weight side by side so that amendments get covered. Baggage point was very important. I started with that. But apart from that, these presentation points which I am telling you, you have to keep in mind these points because many a times we have seen the students, they come to us and they say, we were expecting exemption in this paper and we have just passed at 40 or 42 marks. So what they feel is that they have not got the marks which they deserved. But in many cases, what we have seen is that it was the presentation problem which they had, or it was the presentation gap which was there, because of which they end up losing marks. For presentation, refer these latest suggested answers because there you will be able to identify the questions as well as their answers, how the answers have been presented, because they are more or less similar to what we expect in the examination. Most important point is that we generally do not expect the students to memorize sections, rules, notification circulars. If you know them for sure, that gives an edge to your answer. But you should not you should not start chasing the sections or rule numbers, or you should not, don't devote specific time to that. Devote specific time to understanding the provision and applying it in the while answering the question. So whenever you answer any computational question, you have to answer that, you have to provide reasoning for those computational questions. Whatever line items are there, whatever supplies, outward, inward supplies are given in a particular question, you have to provide reasoning for that. You are first of all asking, you have asked me right approach to answer that comprehensive question. That means you are asking about the first compulsory question which comes in the examination that requires the computation of net GST liability. Please confirm in the chat box whether you are talking about that question only, because I have, what I got from your question is that you are talking about first question. Now in first question, first thing is that you have to identify all the outward supplies and inward supplies. In some questions you will find everything is given at one place, that these are the supplies, these were the transactions undertaken during the month, and you have to compute net GST payable in cash. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay, so you have confirmed that you were talking about first question only. So there you have to segregate between outward and inward supplies. Now, if you see, generally students are very scared of the first question, that will not be, and most of the students feel that उसमें 14 marks तो नहीं आएंगे, you will not get full marks. So many students leave it for the end. Many students don't attempt it at all, or they feel कि जितना भी हो गया उतना ठीक है, because उसमें marks तो आने ही नहीं है, वो हो नहीं पाएगा question. They are very scared of that first question. Though you can get full marks in that question, ऐसा नहीं है, उस question में full marks भी आते हैं students के. ओनली थिंग इज आप उसको बड़े क्वेश्चन की तरह मत देखो, आप उसमें देखो कि हर इंडिविजुअल सब उसमें जो चीज आपको ओवरऑल देखनी है, दैट आई विल आल्सो टेल, बट हर इंडिविजुअल सप्लाई को आप इंडिविजुअली एसेस करो, जैसे एक शॉर्ट क्वेश्चन में आप करते हो. ओनली थिंग इज हाउ यू हैव टू प्रेजेंट इट. यू स्टार्ट विद योर आउटपुट टैक्स पेबल टेबल, computation of the tax liability. So their first thing you have to compute is the GST payable on forward charge. Whatever GST is payable on the outward supplies is GST payable under forward charge. Take each and every item one by one. Those supplies which are not liable to GST or GST is not payable on them, those line items should also be shown in the table itself, or their reason should be mentioned in the note, whatever is the case. But because that I will show in the presentation part more clearly that what I am talking about. So each and every item you should take, you should provide their small reasoning, very brief reason you should provide, that why you have taken it this way, why you have applied this rate, what is the place of supply, and in case it is a composite supply, then also you have to mention that it is a composite supply, this rate we are applying, or any other specific point. It's taxability you want to mention because it has some exemption not being made applicable to this particular case. So there also you have to mention that specific reason. Then all the outward supplies on which GST is payable, or on which GST is payable under reverse charge, whatever is the case, or they are exempt, whatever the case is, you have taken it in one place and you have computed the total GST payable under forward charge. From that GST payable under forward charge, you will reduce the ITC available for set off. Now this ITC available for set off is not available right now with you. For that you have to make a working note and you have to compute the ITC available for set off. Now generally in ITC available for set off, one point you have to keep in mind is that it is not always so that you have to do the reversal of ITC, because unless and until you have any outward supply which is exempt, or any outward supply tax on which is payable by the recipient under reverse charge. I hope you got my point that any outward supply on which tax is payable by the recipient under reverse charge, that is also considered as an exempt supply for the purpose of reversal of ITC. So if any of these two items are there in outward supply, then when you go to the ITC table, you have to ensure that in ITC, you will be doing the reversal also. You will be considering the provisions of Rule 42 and 43. If you have any capital goods, you will go to 43. If you have any inputs or input services, you will go to 42. Then you will take all the inward supplies. One by one, you will take all the inward supplies. Either on this inward supplies, tax is payable by the supplier, or tax is payable by the recipient, the person for whom we are computing the tax. All the items we have to take, we have to add them, and at the end, we have to proportionate them between exempt supplies and taxable supplies. So whatever amount is coming for apportionable to the taxable supplies, that you have to take to your original first table, and that amount has to be set off, that ITC has to be set off from the GST payable under forward charge. Now, whatever difference you will be getting, that difference has to be, to that difference, now you will add GST payable under reverse charge. GST payable under reverse charge. Now, these are the inward supplies on which recipient has to pay the tax. Inward supplies. I'm not talking about outward now. I'm saying GST payable under reverse charge on inward supplies has to be added to this. And finally, you will get net GST payable in cash. Now, in this question, one more point you have to keep into mind. Now, this is the overall point. Individual transactions we have tested. Outward supplies also we'll test in 2-3 parameters. We'll see what is the place of supply, what is the nature of the transaction, interstate or intrastate. Then what is the, either if it is a composite supply, then what will be the actual rate which will be applicable of goods or services, or different services are there, then which particular rate we will apply. And whether tax is payable under reverse charge or forward charge, because that will help you in determining the tax which need to be paid. If tax is to be on outward supplies, if tax has to be paid on reverse charge basis, then you will not include it in your GST payable under forward charge table. You will show nil amount, and immediately it should strike to you that reverse charge provisions will be applicable, or reversal provisions will be applicable, because outward supply is taxable under reverse charge. This is one overall provision you have to remember. Second, when you are reversing, you have to compute the exempt turnover as well as total turnover. We have quite lot number of exam questions which are there in your study material, as well as we take it in RTP also. In your previous questions, previous RTPs also, you can refer for that's this particular apportionment of exempt and total turnover. Examination questions also you can refer, but try to practice more and more questions regarding reversal, so that this reversal fear gets vanished from your mind, that in case I'm not able to do that reversal properly, because you will be able to do that. Only thing is you have to compute the exempt turnover and total turnover properly. Then the third thing which you have to refer in your entire question is you have to see the total turnover, total value of outward supplies, whether that exceeds 50 lakhs or not, because in that case rule 86B gets attracted, which provides you that at least 1% of your output tax liability has to be paid in cash. That means only 99% of your output tax liability you can use for payment of 90 that you can pay from electronic credit ledger. The rest 1% has to be paid in cash. Now this provision also many a time students leave because they do not compute the value of supply. So that also you have to take into consideration. After that, you will get net GST payable in cash. So practicing more and more questions will help you gain confidence in this particular first question. If you have any doubt, Sai Sandeep, you can ask me. Otherwise, regarding the getting the exemption, strategy for getting exemption, so whatever points I'm telling you, these presentation related points, commonly committed errors, and I will tell you some revision strategy also. In between also, I'm trying to cover whatever points I can cover. Overall, this session will help you in improving your score for the examination. Don't worry. So be with us till the end. You'll be able to understand. So I hope in case you have any other doubt, please let me know. Otherwise, we can start with the presentation points. So first of all, I told you that first question should be your best question, or the answer to which you know the best. So whenever you start your question, whenever you are doing the descriptive portion, because in MCQs it does not make any difference, you just have to mark the answers in your OMR sheet. So some students prefer to do it at the end, some prefer to do it in the beginning. That is entirely your choice and as per your time management practice which you follow during your mock test papers, but that is up to you. And when you are doing the descriptive portion, first question should be the question which is your best question, or answer to which you know the best. And then in the decreasing order, you should start doing the questions. Because this creates an impression on your examiner. See, if you yourself, imagine yourself also as an examiner, you have got an answer sheet where first few questions have been done very beautifully. So you also get an impression that yes, this is a good student, and you tend to evaluate that answer sheet in the similar manner. So try to be in the maintain that decreasing order, where first answer will be your best answer and last answer will be your least known answer. Okay. Maintain a legible handwriting throughout the paper, but you have to maintain speed also. So don't try to beautify your paper. Try to be very clear in your paper. So for that, what you can do, you can leave educate spaces in the paper. There is no bar on that. You can leave space when you are not sure of any provision and you want to think about it again, so you can leave sufficient space and you can move to next question, so that you might not keep sticking to one question, because you have to do full justice to each and every question also. Don't feel that I know three questions in the best manner, so let me attempt three questions only, they will help me in passing. No, attempt each and every question. Promise yourself that in the forthcoming examination, whatever paper is there, I'm not talking about my paper only, any paper, you will not leave any subpart of any question. I'm talking about any subpart. You are a final level student. Till now, you have done your articleship also. You have been through many highs and lows, and you have very logical reasoning in your mind. So you can apply your logical mind to that particular question and you can answer it to some extent. So please answer each and every question. These half mark or 1 mark you might get in any of the questions, that might help you in getting exemption, or that might contribute to your getting your group passed or your paper passed. So please do not leave any question unattempted. Attempt each and every question and underline the key points. So whatever key points you want to highlight to the examiner, put them in boxes. These things you all know, but when it comes to doing it in the exam, sometimes we tend to forget them. So that is why I am once again repeating them. If any definition is there, put it in the box. If any important point is there, you want to highlight it, just mention it. You may, very important key word you want to highlight, you can mention it in caps, uppercase also, so that it gets highlighted. So only thing is you have to highlight your USPs to the examiner. And the most important point in case of the computational questions, each and every computational question should be supported with the explanatory notes. Now I will give an example also what I mean with this. Those explanatory notes, when I say clear and proper explanatory notes, I will give you some examples what does not constitute a proper explanatory notes. Then you will get an idea. Maybe some of you are doing that mistake also. So that is a big mistake which students commit when they are giving the explanatory notes. That also I will give. And so reasoning is very important. Simply adding, subtracting will not fetch you marks. Now we'll see few questions where we'll see that what is not to be done in the computational questions. Okay, this is a question of computation of value of supply. I generally take this example only because I have this makes it very clear to the students that how they have to present their answer. See, this question has 5 line items, 5 items. One is the price, and then followed by 4 other amounts which are given to you. You have to see whether they are includable in value of supply or not, and then you have to compute the final value of supply. Question requires you to compute the value of supply. Now let us see what is the answer which I have given to you on the board. So I will just show you. This is the answer. I have by mistaken shown you that whether it is correct or not. But can anybody tell me that what is wrong in this answer? What I can tell you, to help you, I can tell you that there is no technical mistake in this question. Special packing and municipal taxes had to be added. And that we have already added in this particular list price of the goods. And nothing more was to be added. No other treatment was required. Correct answer was 90,000 only. But what is wrong in this question? I have given you the full answer. So in the answer, we have provided notes also. So earlier I discussed with you that explanatory notes had to be given. So it was not the case that reasoning was not provided. Gurveen, you want to say something?
Ma'am, the other points jo the, we have to mention it in the answer and give a note for that, why we have not included there. Maybe we have to write in the rupees column and give a note why we have not written.
Very good, very good. Please mute yourself. Yes, that is the correct. In fact, that is the correct reason. In fact, I have got this answer from Sai Sandeep also and from Roshni also. So that is what I wanted to tell you, that many times Anand Kumar is saying in the process of answering all questions, if answers are wrong, valuers tend to deduct marks for some answers. There were some news about it. Let me once again go through your comment, Anand. Let me first tell what was wrong in this particular presentation, in fact. So we had, in this question, we had 4 amounts which are to be treated for arriving at the value of supply. But line item 4 and line item 5 were not impacting my final value of supply or my answer. So it does not mean that I will not show it anywhere. I will simply add or less whatever items are required. I will give reasons for them, and these two items are to be completely ignored. No, that is what is wrong here. So please ensure that whatever line items are given, that is what I wanted to tell you when I was telling in the presentation point, that when in first question also, that compulsory one first question, all the items, all the outward supplies, all the inward supplies have to be there in their respective tables. Even if the value shown is nil or they are nowhere impacting your answer, you have to show it in the table and you have to give the reason. One way of presenting is that you can write here note, reference to a note, and that note, those notes you can provide at the end of the answer, or you can provide it in along with the expense or supply or whatever line item you are treating. You can provide the reasoning there itself. Okay. So this was wrong, and this is the correct way of presenting, where CGST and SGST charge as well as subsidy receipt, we have mentioned it that these two items are not to be treated while computing the value of supplies, but their reasoning we have provided. We have shown it as nil amount. So this way it will be the correct way of presenting these answers. Now, another mistake I will tell you. So let me show you the screen, and in the meantime, I will read the question of the point of Anand Kumar. He has said something. See, this is another way of presenting where all the points have been mentioned. CGST, SGST also has been written, subsidy received has also been written. But what is wrong is that here no reasoning has been provided at all. So this will also not let you fetch full marks. Definitely marks will be deducted because for reasoning specific marks are allocated. So अगर आपका पूरा आंसर बिल्कुल ठीक है, कोई reasoning नहीं दिया, तो आपको you will get very low marks. Now we come to the next type of reasoning. Now, this is also one of the answers which we got in the examination. And tell me, what is the mistake which student has committed in this particular answer? In the meantime, I am reading the query of Anand Kumar. The answers are wrong. Anand, what do you want to actually say in this? And please tell me in the chat box in the meantime, what is wrong in this particular answer, in this particular form of presentation per se, because you know, final answer is correct. CGST, SGST has also been mentioned. So subsidy has also been mentioned. Then what is wrong in this? This will also not fetch full marks to the students. There is also, here also some problem is there. So what is the problem here? Yes, Roshni, exactly the correct point you have mentioned. Others also, Lakshmi Narayan, the answer is yes. Why amount has not been added, or Lakshmi Narayan is correct. So this presentation is also wrong presentation. This is not the correct or most appropriate way of presenting. Though we have mentioned the section numbers. Now some students might feel that this is the best we could have done. Instead of mentioning the provision, we have mentioned the section number itself. We had this much memory, or you know, we have memorized all these sections. We have taken efforts in memorizing the sections, and we have mentioned sections in the explanatory notes. But no, that is not what is expected from a student. Provision is expected. Special packing, these are the incidental charges, expenses which are incurred, and they are includable in the value of supply. Duty levied by local authority, then these are the taxes other than CGST, SGST, IGST, and composition cess. All these taxes are includable. That is why municipal taxes are included. CGST and SGST, since they are the GST levies, so they are excluded. Subsidy, since they are subsidy is already included in the value, and subsidy received from a non-governmental organization has to be included only. It has to be included in the value itself. So that treatment was already given in the value of supply. That is why it is not again added. So these are the points you need to mention. Then only this presentation will be a foolproof presentation. Okay. So Anand, you were saying that in the process of answering the questions, if some answers are wrong, then valuers tend to deduct the marks for some answers. But what was the point in that? You wanted to ask something, or you were just telling that yes, whenever your answer is wrong, the valuer will deduct marks for that. What exactly you want to ask, please explain it. Okay. Now we will see the next point, though already this wrong mark has come, but I want to know what is wrong in this particular explanation. In this question, what is wrong? The answer which I have shown in this question, what is wrong in this question? J Limited Gujarat sold its old godown used for the purpose of its business. Stamp duty value was 14 lakh rupees. computation of the output tax liability. Now, this is an extract of the table showing the GST payable under forward charge. Now, I am computing my total output tax liability, and when I am computing GST payable under forward charge, this is one of the extracts. This is what has been done by the student. Now, what is wrong in this? Very good, Roshini. Any other student want to answer this? Otherwise, Roshni has very correctly mentioned. Yes, Sai Sandeep, you are right. What is missing is section schedule 3 reference. That is what was also mentioned by Roshni, that this is not correct. Some students have this tendency that when they are not charging, when they are not paying GST on a particular line item, on any particular supply, if GST is not payable, finally GST has not to be paid on a particular line item, any particular supply, what they tend to do is they straight away write it as exempt from GST without thinking of anything else. This is a standard thing which they do because they feel that this is the easiest way to remember it, and they write exempt from GST. Now, what is the exact reason here, which is the correct way of answering, is this, that this is a, you know, that sale of building is a schedule 3 item. So you have to mention schedule 3 here, that it is neither supply of goods nor supply of services, as it is covered in schedule 3, and therefore it is not a supply, because something, in order to become exempt, any supply in order to become exempt should be a supply per se. Any transaction, any activity should first of all be a supply. It should qualify as supply, then it will be exempt by way of a notification. But something which is not a supply per se, how can you consider it to be exempt? So supply of whole building is not a supply per se. Now this is what I was talking about, the reasoning. Now here the student will not get full marks, and he will feel that I had mentioned everything in the examination, I had done it properly, but marks were not given to me. Why? Because I had not mentioned the study material language. This could be their reasoning or their assumption that स्टडी मटेरियल की लैंग्वेज नहीं लिखी, इस वजह से मार्क्स नहीं मिले. बट बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि आंसर में आपको मार्क्स इसलिए नहीं मिलते क्योंकि आपको ऐसा लगता है कि आपने सही लिखी है रीजनिंग, बट जब आप उसको सजेस्टेड आंसर से एग्जैक्टली कंपेयर करोगे और ऑब्जेक्टिवली समझोगे तो आपको समझ में आएगा कि अपने वर्ड्स में जब आपको लिखना है कोई चीज तो उसका मीनिंग नहीं चेंज होना चाहिए. यहाँ तो खैर प्रोविजन ही चेंज है, बट मेनी अ टाइम्स व्हेन वी ट्राई टू रीइटरेट अ प्रोविजन और रिप्रोड्यूस अ प्रोविजन, sometimes meaning we get deviated from the meaning also. That should also not happen. तो अपने words में लिखने का मतलब meaning change करना नहीं है. आपको ध्यान रखना है कि जब आप अपने words में किसी provision को लिख रहे हो तो उसका meaning change नहीं होना चाहिए. This is something which students generally commit a mistake and they feel they have not got full marks. तो ये भी उससे आपको बचना है, क्योंकि हमें एग्जाम में हमारा ऑब्जेक्टिव पेपर पास करना है. ये सोचना नहीं है कि एग्जामिनर ने क्या गलत किया. हमारा ऑब्जेक्टिव ये है कि पहले हमें ये सोचना है कि हमारी इसमें क्या गलती थी, क्योंकि बहुत बार ऐसा होता है कि हमने प्रोविजन उस तरह से नहीं लिखा और एक टेंडेंसी हो जाती है कि मार्क्स नहीं मिले. तो आप उसको ध्यान से करेंगे ये सोचते हुए कि लैंग्वेज में चेंज नहीं, आपको मीनिंग नहीं चेंज करना अपनी वर्ड्स में. वी ऑलवेज सजेस्ट यू राइट इट इन योर ओन वर्ड्स, बट सेम मीनिंग शुड बी कन्वेड एज द प्रोविजन सेज. यहाँ पर तो प्रोविजन ही डिफरेंट था, सो दिस इज फाइन. नाउ लेट अस कम टू द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. J Limited sold securities which were purchased at rupees 36 lakh in the month of January. Now, this is the extract which I have taken from one student's copy. Now, tell me in the chat box what is wrong about it. When we write some answer which may or may not be right, there was news that valuers are deducting marks for wrong answers. Not sure about IDT. So, our attempt of full paper maybe. So our attempt of full paper maybe there is numbers to follow. Is it right? Anand, I got your point, but that was not for IDT. So I can assure you that was not for IDT. So please, and that will not happen. You can write it to the exam department, the news which you have got, but that was not for IDT and that will not happen in any of the papers. That will not happen, I can assure you. Sai Sandeep? Very good, Sai. Very good. Any other answers from any of the students? Very good, Gurveen. That is what I wanted from all of you. If you have this much clarity, that means you have read the law with precision And that is how you should have approached the subject. So if you are approaching the subject this way, then it's fine. That means you are doing your preparation in the right manner. Only thing is you have to be comprehensive and you have to prepare the topic comprehensively. Okay, so I have got answer from two of the students and they provide the reason. Now, why is it wrong? Again, it is not a supply. Sale of securities is not a supply. But when I say it is not a supply, there can be n number of other reasons. What can be other reasons? It is, we know that what is supply? Supply is supply of goods or supply of goods or supply of services taken for a consideration in course or furtherance of business. And then we have 8 illustrative forms of supply. This is the basic definition of supply. So if consideration is not present, then we have to go to schedule 1. If it is getting that transaction is getting covered in schedule 1. If not, that is not a supply. If business test is absent, that means it's not in course of or furtherance of business, then we have to check whether it is import of services or not. That is in course. If it is not in course or furtherance of business, you have to check whether it is import of services. That is fine. And if it is not qualifying as goods or services, you will not move ahead because this cannot be supply. So securities is excluded from the definition of goods as well as from the definition of services, as well as money is also on the same pedestal. So it is not goods or services per se. How can it be a supply? So if I mention the reason as it is getting covered in schedule 3 because it is neither supply of goods nor supply of services, that makes my reason as wrong. And again, my marks will be deducted. So correct reason will be now. Another reason was this, that straight away we write exempt from GST. That is also wrong. Now what is correct is that it is neither goods nor services. Therefore, sale of securities is not supply. Now, last point, again, it's very simple. Now you will be able to do it quickly, but just let me, please tell me the answer quickly. Yes, Anand. So this was there in some other paper, but it was not in IDT. And please be assured, this is not going to be the case. This is not something which has been introduced. Nothing of that sort is there. So please try to refrain from believing on such things. And you have any doubt, you can write to exam department, but otherwise, this will not happen. I can assure you. Okay, now what is wrong in this? Thank you so much. Yes, Sai Sandeep is absolutely correct. This I think all of you know. But just to tell you the difference between 3 type of transactions, one is not supply per se because of not being goods or services. One is there in schedule 3, that is why it is not a supply, and another one is exempt. Yes, Roshni, correct. Gurveen, absolutely correct. Interest on credit cards, very good. So you know the exact entry, Gurveen, that is very good to see. So in that case, I will straight away go to the correct answer so that we move ahead to other points. This is the correct way of treating this. You'll write that the services by way of extending deposits, and so far as the consideration is represented by way of interest, is exempt, and that is why this particular supply is exempt from GST. So you have to, as regards, again, this is about presentation. So one more point I would like to add here is you have to quote the section numbers, rule, notification, circulars only when you are 100% certain. Otherwise, focus on the provision. And quoting only section will not suffice. So, or quoting only rule number, notification number will not suffice. Try to come out with the provision. That is what is expected from you. Refer the latest suggested answer for knowing the presentation exactly. And more about, if you want to have some idea of presentation, go through the suggested answers. I can also get you a look at this point of time, but we want to cover other things. So you can see the suggested answers for knowing the presentation. Okay. Now, this is pre-exam preparation, you all know. You have to follow the instructions which are given to you in the exam, which color pen you have to follow, blue or black. Every subpart has to be from new page. That you have to see your examination instructions and follow accordingly. Somebody told me that you have to take on the first page, you have to take the questions which you have attempted. So all these things which are given in your admit card or that sheet, which the paper on which the instructions are given, that is very important. बिकॉज इतना आपने एग्जाम के लिए प्रिपेयर किया है लेकिन आप एग्जाम वाले दिन अगर वो इंस्ट्रक्शंस ही भूल गए तो वो बहुत बड़ा ब्लंडर होगा. इतनी मेहनत करने के बाद आपको वो चीज जरूर जरूर याद रखनी है. आपको एग्जामिनेशन हॉल में टाइम पे पहुंचना बहुत जरूरी है. एग्जामिनेशन हॉल में लेट पहुंचना भी अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है. बिकॉज आई मेट वन ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स हु टोल्ड मी कि मैं बहुत तैयारी करता हूँ, बहुत प्रिपरेशन करता हूँ, लेकिन एग्जाम वाले दिन मैं एग्जाम में ही लेट हो जाता हूँ क्योंकि लास्ट टाइम तक पढ़ता चला जाता हूँ. तो आपने अगर वो जो लास्ट के 15 मिनट्स में मान लीजिए आपने 10 प्रोविजन 5 प्रोविजन पढ़ भी लिए पर अब एग्जाम में जो वो आपको 3 hours देने थे, तो आप उसको अगर फोकस के साथ नहीं अटेम्प्ट कर पाते हैं, दैट इज यू आर एक्चुअली मिसिंग आउट समथिंग. So this is those 3 hours plus 15 minutes reading time, including that 3 hours 15 minutes. You should give your 100% and don't get late in the examination center. ये मतलब I got to know it from one of the students, so I thought to share it with you also. Try to focus on these things. बहुत छोटी छोटी चीजें हैं, लेकिन ये भी आपको एक्चुअली आपकी परफॉर्मेंस को इम्पैक्ट करती है एग्जाम में. Gurveen is saying, I'm not able to score marks in MCQs. Any suggestion of improving marks in MCQs? MCQs के लिए गुरवीन मैं आपको जो भी मैंने पहले भी बोला था, लास्ट सेशन ऑल्सो somebody asked me कि हमें केस सिनेरियोज में MCQs में बहुत प्रॉब्लम आती है. somebody told me बहुत टाइम लगता है. उसके लिए मैंने तब भी सजेस्ट किया था कि जो केस सिनेरियो बुकलेट है आप उसको प्रैक्टिस करो. पिछले 2-3 अटेम्प्ट्स के सिनेरियोज भी आप प्रैक्टिस कर सकते हो, बिकॉज वहां पे आपको एग्जैक्ट वो सिनेरियोज मिलेंगे जिस लेवल के सिनेरियोज एग्जाम में आते हैं. केस सिनेरियो बुकलेट में थोड़ा सा कंपैरेटिवली हायर लेवल ऑफ सिनेरियोज आर गिवन टू यू, थोड़ा डिफिकल्टी लेवल उनका हाई है. So why I have given those, we have given those type of MCQs just to give you, because if you have done the difficult portion, then easier questions will be a cakewalk for you all. But so practice from the case scenario booklet. जो case scenario booklet अभी May 26 के लिए applicable है, उसको आप practice करना start कर दो. Daily आप 2 to 3 scenarios try to practice, because by this time hopefully you all have done your syllabus and you are revising. So those integrated scenarios you will be able to follow, you will be able to solve. That reading that will generate a habit of reading quickly, because in scenarios what is required is, case scenarios में आपको क्या करना होता है, you have to first of all go through a scenario. क्विक रीडिंग एक सिनेरियो की दोगे, एंड व्हेन यू आर रीडिंग ईच एंड एवरी इंफॉर्मेशन, एक थोड़ा सा माइंडसेट आपका तभी बन जाना चाहिए. जैसे आपने कहीं पढ़ा कि ये एक सिल्क यार्न सप्लाई कर रहे हैं टू अ रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन, बाय एन अनरजिस्टर्ड पर्सन इज सप्लाइंग टू रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन सिल्क यार्न. अब आपको ये समझ आना चाहिए कि इसमें कहीं ना कहीं रिवर्स चार्ज की कुछ एप्लीकेबिलिटी हो सकती है, क्योंकि सिल्क यार्न के केस में रिवर्स चार्ज, गुड्स के केस में रिवर्स चार्ज फाइनल में कवर होता है. आपने कहीं पढ़ा कि स्पॉन्सरशिप सर्विसेज हैं, आपको कहीं ना कहीं रिवर्स चार्ज क्लिक करेगा, कोई अगर उससे रिलेटेड एग्जाम्पशन है तो आपको क्लिक करना चाहिए. तो जो इन्फॉर्मेशन आपने जब एक बार सिनेरियो पढ़ा, तो आपको रेलेवेंट इन्फॉर्मेशन विल स्टार्ट क्लिकिंग टू यू, that this can also be tested, or this provision could also be tested in this particular para regarding this. After reading the question, after reading the scenario quickly, go through the MCQs. Now read one MCQ and go back to the scenario to locate the relevant information which is for which you will be requiring for solving that MCQ, because all the MCQs will not be computational, or even if they are computational, they might not require the full scenario information in full scenario to be there. So locate the relevant portion which will be relevant for that particular MCQ, and identify the provision of law which is required for solving it. Apply that provision and mark the answer. Mark the answer in your somewhere in your answer paper, and then mark it carefully on your OMR sheet, because sometimes students tell that they were aware of the correct answer, they had arrived at the correct answer, but while marking at the OMR sheet, some confusion had been done and they ended up marking wrong answers. So बहुत carefully OMR sheet में answers mark करने. This way you have to proceed to each of the answers, and you know MCQs में कोई negative marking नहीं है, तो I am very sure none of you are leaving the answers. You are doing all the questions, all the MCQs. In fact, for descriptive also, I just told you, don't leave any answer. You can write something or other in any of the questions, and that will definitely get you some of the marks. I have general, Lakshmi Narayan is saying, I have general doubt for all papers. Whether 15 minutes reading time is available for, no, it is not available for MCQs as far as I know, Lakshmi Narayan. Because during recent mock test at ICAI branch, we were okay. Because I think that would have happened at the ICAI branch. The reason is, their limitation is that we do not have separate booklets for MCQ portion as well as for descriptive portion. When we make the MCQ, we make the MTP, mock test paper, we have it as a one booklet. Okay, so they cannot tier the MCQ portion, or they cannot separate the MCQ and descriptive portion. That was the reason. But otherwise, that reading time is not there for MCQs. Okay, that is only for descriptive. That is why I told you that give a quick reading to the entire paper. Now, during this reading time, what we suggest to the students is, first of all, that compulsory question you should not read. वो तो आपको करना ही करना है. एक ग्लांस दे सकते हो आप कि आपको मान लीजिए आपको क्वेश्चन देख के एकदम आप आइडेंटिफाई कर पाते हो कि ये तो मुझे बहुत अच्छे से आता है, बहुत ही मतलब ऐसा क्वेश्चन है विच आई नो, तो देन यू कैन चूज इट फॉर स्टार्टिंग द पेपर. अदरवाइज आप उसको बहुत ज्यादा मत पढ़ो, आप बाकी क्वेश्चन से स्टार्ट करो. बट ये भी नहीं करना कि आप उस क्वेश्चन को एकदम एंड में करो, बिकॉज कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव क्वेश्चन है, बड़ा क्वेश्चन है, इट रिक्वायर्स टाइम. लास्ट में करने से जनरली वो सफर कर जाता है वो क्वेश्चन, तो आपको उसको लास्ट के लिए भी नहीं रखना है। लेकिन हाँ, जब आप 15 मिनट्स का रीडिंग टाइम है तो उसमें फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल यू शुड रीड दी अदर क्वेश्चंस, ऑप्शनल क्वेश्चंस, उसमें से आप ये आइडेंटिफाई कर लो, उसमें सबसे पहले आइडेंटिफाई करो वो क्वेश्चन जो आपको नहीं करना है। आफ्टर आइडेंटिफाइंग दैट क्वेश्चन, नाउ यू गो see the four questions, their sequence, and keep some allocated time, allocate some estimated time for each of the question. Keep some time for review also, though generally we don't get, if question paper is very lengthy, you don't get review time, but that time gets exhausted in completing the paper itself. But anyhow, try to keep at least 10 to 15 minutes for review or revision of the paper, and whatever time you have kept for each of the questions, try to adhere to that time. So if you are exceeding too much the time limit, then you should leave the question then and there itself, leave educate space and move to the next question. And you can, because you can anytime you can come back to that question and attempt it, but please don't do it at the cost of the other question. If you are answering 3 best answers, they will, you will fetch lesser marks than your 6 average answers. तो आपको हर क्वेश्चन के साथ जस्टिस करना है, जो आता है उसी को पूरे दिन पूरे पेपर में 3 घंटे वो नहीं करना है। हम सब टेम्प्ट हो जाते हैं जब हम आंसर करते हैं ना, तो जो आंसर आता होता है हम उसको छोड़ ही नहीं पाते हैं, क्योंकि हमें लगता है ये जितना आता है उतना तो उसमें सब लिखा है। लेकिन आपको हर क्वेश्चन के साथ जस्टिस करना है, इसलिए आपने जो टाइम एलोकेट किया है क्वेश्चन के लिए, डिपेंडिंग ऑन द डिफिकल्टी लेवल एंड द प्रोविजंस, द फेमिलियरिटी विद द प्रोविजंस, so whatever time you have allocated for a particular question, try to adhere to that and move to the next question when you are exceeding too much. आपने 30 minutes allocate किए, 32-33 minutes पे क्वेश्चन को छोड़ दो एंड मूव टू द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन। आप बाद में दोबारा आके कर सकते हो, क्योंकि आपने कुछ टाइम रखा है अभी रिव्यू के लिए। आपके पास एमसीक्यू में भी थोड़ा बहुत टाइम सेव होता है, बिकॉज वहां पे आपको रीजनिंग नहीं प्रोवाइड करनी। आप अगर थोड़ा एमसीक्यू की प्रैक्टिस करोगे आप कर सकते हो। केस सिनारियो बुकलेट के एमसीक्यूज बहुत अच्छे से करो, उसमें आपको बहुत कॉन्सेप्ट क्लैरिटी मिलेगी, बिकॉज वो दे आर नॉट ओनली फॉर सिनारियो पर्पस, दे विल गिव यू clarity of the concepts. Very tricky points are there that will clear your concepts in that will help you in descriptive portion also. Okay, so this was about the computational problems which I generally discuss with the students कि जब आप computational questions करते हैं तो आप उसके अंदर कुछ points, tricky points निकाल लीजिए। जिस क्वेश्चन में आपको कोई ट्रिकी पॉइंट मिलता है उस क्वेश्चन में आप वहीं पर वो ट्रिकी पॉइंट लिख दीजिए, यू राइट द ट्रीटमेंट ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर पॉइंट एंड देन यू स्टार्ट प्रोसीडिंग विद द proceed with the next answer or next question. हर क्वेश्चन को खुद से अटेम्प्ट करो, और जहां पे भी, दिस आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द प्रिपरेशन टाइम, व्हेन यू आर प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर योर एग्जामिनेशन or you are revising the questions which have some tricky points, you go through those questions and those tricky points should be highlighted, those tricky points should be mentioned somewhere in one separate sheet of paper कि अगर ये question में ये point आएगा then I have to treat it this way. So day before exam what you can do is, when you are revising that particular chapter, those tricky points also have to be revised. Similar kind of question if you find in exam, or similar type of item or issue, if there is, it is asked in the exam, your confidence will be different in that case. You will be very confident कि ये तो मैंने अभी कल ही देखा था, ये पॉइंट ट्रिकी पॉइंट है, इसमें आ गया, नाउ आई विल आंसर इट, आई नो द ट्रीटमेंट। तो इसीलिए उन सारे ट्रिकी पॉइंट्स को आप एक जगह पे जॉट डाउन करके एग्जाम से पहले दिन जरूर पढ़ो, बिकॉज अभी आप बहुत अच्छे से उन पॉइंट्स को कर रहे हो, बट यू हैव 6 सब्जेक्ट्स टू रिवाइज, एंड फॉर IBS you have to do 2 more papers also. So better is that you write it at one piece of paper, and day before exam you revise all those tricky points. That will help you in mastering those questions. एग्जाम से पहले दिन रिवीजन करनी है, ये कवर करके देन आई विल गो टू दी स्टैट्यूटरी बिट। एग्जाम से पहले दिन रिवीजन करने के लिए आई टोल्ड यू आपका रिवीजन मटेरियल आज ही रेडी होना चाहिए फॉर ऑल पेपर्स, बिकॉज समथिंग विच यू हैव नॉट रिवाइज डे बिफोर एग्जाम, इट इज एज गुड एज नॉट डन। एग्जाम में नहीं याद आएगा वो आपको, अनलेस कि आपने मतलब उसे इतना अच्छे से किया हुआ है कि आपको व्हेनेवर somebody asks you you can answer it. Otherwise revision is very very important. So जो भी कुछ आप पढ़ रहे हो, आज आप जल्दी जल्दी सब कुछ कवर करते जा रहे हो और पढ़ते जा रहे हो और पढ़ते जा रहे हो, लेकिन जो पुराना करते जा रहे हो कहीं वो भूल तो नहीं रहे हो। तो उसके लिए आपको अपना रिविजन मटेरियल अच्छे से रेडी करना है। दैट कैन बी सारांश प्लस customization, anything you want to add to saransh, so you can use saransh as your revision material by customizing it as per your convenience, or you can make your own notes, or in study material itself or whatever material you are referring, you can highlight, you can underline the important points, but your revision material should be ready. Day before exam you are going to take out only that material and you are going to revise. Learning or reading something new should come only when everything which you have done already has been revised. Don't go for any new topic before revising your entire पोर्शन विच यू हैव ऑलरेडी डन। बिना रिविजन के नया कॉन्सेप्ट बिल्कुल नहीं उठाना, क्योंकि आपको जो आपने पढ़ा है वो सारा रिविजन करना बहुत जरूरी है। सो रिविजन इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। रिविजन में सीक्वेंस वही आप रखोगे जो आपने स्किल वाइज वेटेज, सेक्शन वाइज वेटेज में देखा है। सबसे पहले सब्सटैंटिव प्रोविजंस आएंगे, फिर एनफोर्समेंट प्रोविजंस, एंड देन प्रोसीजरल लॉ हैज टू बी फॉलोड। सो दिस इज द सीक्वेंस यू हैव टू फॉलो। सबसे पहले चैप्टर 1 to 7 ऑफ जीएसटी हैव टू बी थरो, chapter 1 to 4 of customs have to be thorough, and then you have to move to other chapters. Why this sequence matters? Because weightage based sequence है, तो आपको पता है कि इससे ज्यादा मार्क्स का आता है, आपको उसको पहले अच्छे से कंप्लीट करना है। उससे एक और इनफैक्ट लॉजिकल फ्लो भी, अगर आप देखोगे तो आपको कोर कॉन्सेप्ट जब आ जाते हैं तो आप बाकी चीजें ज्यादा अच्छे से समझ पाते हो। कोर कॉन्सेप्ट्स को पढ़ना ज्यादा जरूरी है, एंड इट हेल्प्स यू इन बिल्डिंग दी कॉन्फिडेंस ऑल्सो, क्योंकि अगर आपने एक बार कोर कॉन्सेप्ट्स कर लिए तो आपको पता है आपका 50% जीएसटी का, 50% कस्टम्स का कवर हो गया। अब उसके बाद आप जब बाकी पोर्शन करोगे तो आपको पता है एटलीस्ट मेरा 50-50 पोर्शन दोनों में कवर हो गया है। अब बाकी जितना हो पा रहा है उतना करते चले जाओ, मतलब यू शुड फॉलो दिस सीक्वेंस। स्टैट्यूटरी अपडेट आई टोल्ड यू, वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, कभी भी नहीं छोड़ने। जनरली अमेंडमेंट बेस्ड क्वेश्चंस एग्जाम में आती हैं, तो जब भी आप अपना एग्जाम से पहले दिन की आपकी चेकलिस्ट क्या होनी चाहिए, सिर्फ मॉर्निंग इवनिंग में हमने करा, इट्स अप टू यू। आपको सबसे पहले सारांश या जो भी रिवीजन मटेरियल है, आई एम रेफरिंग योर रिवीजन मटेरियल आल्सो एज सारांश, सो ईदर इट दीज आर योर नोट्स और सारांश और एनी अदर थिंग यू आर यूजिंग, whatever revision material you have made, but that should be referred first of all. Then you should refer, and during that you have to follow that sequence of substantive, reinforcement, procedural, and after that you have to do the computational points, the problems arising, the points arising out of computational problems, and then we have the statutory update. So statutory update को छोड़ना नहीं है, most important है। You are ready to succeed. Success is where preparation and opportunity meet. So your success depends on how you have prepared. टाइम मैनेजमेंट वी हैव ऑलरेडी टेकन इनटू कंसिडरेशन। मैंने बीच बीच में आपको बहुत सारा टाइम मैनेजमेंट बता दिया है वैसे। अब हम थोड़ा सा एग्जाम्पशंस, फिर से फटाफट से एक एग्जाम्पशंस पे ओवरव्यू ले लेते हैं। आई थिंक अभी भी पढ़ा जा रहा होगा ये, इट मस्ट बी रीडेबल, बिकॉज थोड़ा सा मैंने इसको जूम आउट किया है, थोड़ा सा इसको शॉर्ट किया है, ठीक है। Now the exemption amendment in the services. There are certain amendments in the existing exemptions. Some new exemptions have also been there. First of all, what are the amendments in the existing exemptions? जो पहली exemption है वो अभी जो हमने कवर किया है सेक्शन 9(5) में जो सर्विसेज नोटिफाई हुई थी उसमें हमने बताया लोकल ट्रांसपोर्ट, लोकल डिलीवरी सर्विसेज विल बी covered. Now, local delivery services will be there in services notified under section 9(5), and so there the tax will be payable, and that will be payable by ECO. मैंने उसका लॉजिक बताया कि उस पे पहले टैक्स पे ही नहीं हो पा रहा था, that was escaping the tax because most of the delivery persons were unregistered. Now that liability has been given to ECOs, ECOs will definitely be registered and they have to pay the tax. अब उसमें एक उसी का एक पैरेलल मतलब कह सकते हैं कॉन्सिक्वेंशियल अमेंडमेंट है एक तरह से ये। एंट्री 18 जो है, एंट्री 18 पहले हम पढ़ लेते हैं, तब देन वी विल सी दैट व्हाई दिस अमेंडमेंट हैज बीन मेड। Entry 18 says services by way of transportation of goods by road except services of a GTA and services of a courier agency. दो चीजें एक्सेप्शन है आपकी, otherwise transportation of goods जो है that is exempt. Now nothing in this entry shall apply to local delivery services provided by an electronic commerce operator and local delivery services provided through an electronic commerce operator. ये इसीलिए किया ताकि लोकल डिलीवरी सर्विसेज अगर पहले हमारी एग्जेम्प्ट हो रही होंगी तो अब हम उन्हें एग्जेम्पशन से भी बाहर निकालना है, क्योंकि हमें उन पे टैक्स पे, गवर्नमेंट का इंटेंशन है टू गेट द टैक्स पेड ऑन द लोकल डिलीवरी सर्विसेज. That is why they have been removed from they have been expressly excluded from this exemption entry, because if any kind, suppose any courier person, he is providing courier services, now he is a local courier person and he is taking your goods to deliver it, or your envelopes or your mails to some other place, your packages, your packets to some other place, if he is taking on a routine basis. So if he is doing it with electronic commerce operator, through an electronic commerce operator, or he is providing these services, or any electronic commerce operator itself is doing such services, then that will not be exempt, because these kind of services, you can see Swiggy, Genie is there, or Ola and Rapido also, they help you in providing the in transporting the parcels, porter services basically. So they are also being provided by the electronic commerce operator. So if any electronic commerce operator is providing these services, those services per se will also not be exempt, and any local delivery person who is providing the delivery services through an electronic commerce operator, that will also not be exempt. If any person is doing it without e-commerce operator, then he will get covered in this clause A, subclause B. Okay, so that is why it has been excluded from here. Now, two new entries, in fact, three new entries have been inserted, 36C, D, and E. Let us see what 36C says, first of all. So these were made in GST 2.0. If you remember, any of you remember that at that time in news or at many places, this was being publicized, or this news were there about it, that the life insurance will become cheaper, or mediclaim premium, that will go cheaper, that will become cheaper. So this is because of these two entries, 36C and 36D. 36C says services of life insurance business provided by an insurer to the insured, where insured is not a group. So if any life insurance services are provided to an individual person, then that will be exempt from GST. अगर लाइफ इंश्योरेंस सर्विसेज हम इंडिविजुअल्स को दे रहे हैं, तो टू मेक इट मोर affordable, life insurance services, we want the government wanted to make it more affordable for the individuals, for the general public. That is why they had exempted it. That is why this entry has come. But agar koi group insurance hai, if any employer has taken the life insurance services for their employees, for its employees, then that is not covered here. Clarification bhi hai isme, explanation which says that this exemption shall apply to a contract of insurance where insured is an individual और इंडिविजुअल एंड फैमिली ऑफ साइड इंडिविजुअल. तो अगर मैं इंडिविजुअल की बात करती हूँ, तो इंडिविजुअल ने अगर अपनी पूरी फैमिली के लिए भी लाइफ इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम दिया हुआ है, लाइफ इंश्योरेंस सर्विसेज दी है, that family will also not be considered as a group. That will not be considered as a group. For the purpose, और family में आप किसको include करोगे? All individuals insured as family in the contract of insurance. मैंने अपनी contract of insurance में अपनी family की तरह जितने लोगों को insure करा लिया है, they will be considered my family, because जो family की definition section 2 of CGST Act में है, that is very different. That says only your spouse and children will be your family. Otherwise जो आपके sisters, brothers हैं, grandparents, grandchildren हैं, वो तभी आपकी family होते हैं when they are wholly dependent on you. Then they will be considered your family. But that definition will not apply here. यहाँ पर आपके जितने भी family members को आपने अपने insurance contract में add कर लिया है, they will be considered as your family. ठीक है? Then we have the next point, that is health insurance. Now, health insurance provided by an insurer to an insured, again, it is on the same parameters, same lines, that the health insurance services, if they are also being provided to an individual, because we want the individuals to be free from GST obligations when they are taking their health insurance, when they are taking their life insurance. These are the basic services which should be provided to an individual, and GST should not be levied on them. This was the objective of the government. So same entry has come here also. सेम पैरामीटर्स पे ये एंट्री है आपकी बिल्कुल. यहाँ पर आपने बोला कि आप हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस सर्विसेज अगर दे रहे हो, आप मेडिक्लेम पॉलिसी ले रहे हो अपनी फैमिली के लिए, अपने लिए, तो जीएसटी विल नॉट बी चार्ज्ड ऑन दिस. यहाँ पे एक और चीज आपको बताई गई है कि हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, सॉरी, जस्ट अ मिनट, आई थिंक दैट इज मेंशन्ड, यहाँ पर ये जो न्यू डेफिनेशन है, वील स्ट्रेट अवे कम टू द न्यू डेफिनेशंस आल्सो. So यहाँ पर ग्रुप का मतलब क्या है? ग्रुप मीन्स ग्रुप ऑफ पर्संस who join together with a commonality of purpose or for engaging in a common economic activity other than availing insurance, and includes employer-employee group. अब ग्रुप्स में क्या एग्जांपल्स उन्होंने दिए? एम्प्लॉयर-एम्प्लॉय ग्रुप है जहां पर एम्प्लॉयर-एम्प्लॉय रिलेशनशिप एग्जिस्ट between master or group policy holder and members of the group in accordance with the applicable laws. Non-employer-employee groups भी हो सकते हैं, but where the clear relationship has been explained or has been clearly demarcated between the group policy holder and the members of the group. एक group policy, एक master policy holder होगा और उसका एक नीचे पूरा group होगा जिसको वो पूरी policy की benefits मिलेंगे, क्योंकि employer-employee relationship में भी होता है, employer takes the policy and he passes on the benefit or he shares the benefit with all the employees. तो ऐसा कोई नॉन, क्योंकि बेस्ट एग्जांपल एम्प्लॉयर एम्प्लॉई हमें समझ में आता है, लेकिन कोई नॉन एम्प्लॉयर एम्प्लॉई ग्रुप भी अगर है, तो उसमें आपको मास्टर एम्प्लॉयर के पास सारी मास्टर एम्प्लॉयर का रिलेशनशिप जो अपने बाकी ग्रुप मेंबर्स के साथ है वो क्लियरली डिफाइंड होना चाहिए। हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस की बात जब हम करते हैं तो हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस से यहाँ पर क्या मतलब था, वैसे हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस से आप सब समझते हो कि आपकी कोई भी इलनेस है, कोई सिकनेस है, आपकी कोई सर्जरी होती है, जो जो इलनेस उसमें कवर्ड है मेडिक्लेम पॉलिसी में, दैट विल बी considered as health insurance business. But it's good that now the notification defines clearly what is health insurance business, because पहले भी health insurance business की exemptions थी, but for this particular purpose they have explained it properly. It means effecting of contracts which provide the sickness benefits or medical, surgical or hospital expense benefits, whether whether inpatient or outpatient, travel cover and personal accident cover. So this is what is covered in health insurance business. Then we come to the next entry, that is, so these were the definitions. 36C, 36D is covered. 36E says reinsurance of the insurance services specified in serial number 36C and D. So it provides that अगर इन सर्विसेज का यानी कि लाइफ इंश्योरेंस सर्विस या हेल्थ केयर सर्विस को हम री इंश्योरेंस करें, री इंश्योरेंस मीन्स यू आर एक्चुअली पासिंग ऑन सम पोर्शन टू सम अदर इंश्योरेंस। आपने आगे सबलेटिंग जैसे होता है ना, तो आपने इंश्योरेंस का अपनी इंश्योरेंस प्रीमियम इंश्योरेंस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हैज बीन डन बाय वन पर्टिकुलर इंश्योरर, दैट इंश्योरर passes on the business to some other insurance company, that is called reinsurance. So if reinsurance is also being done in this particular cases, they will also be exempt. When principal service, main service is being exempt, reinsurance will also be considered to be exempt. That is why this entry has been there. Now जीटीए की डेफिनेशन भी चेंज कर दी गई है। जीटीए की डेफिनेशन बहुत सिंपल थी, अभी भी वही है, उसमें चेंज नहीं है एज सच, बट हाँ उसमें एक एक्सक्लूजन डाल दिया गया है। GTA was what? It was a person who provides services in relation to transportation of goods and who issues the consignment note. In fact, this is very important point in questions also. If you see somewhere, it is mentioned a tempo owner is there. He has provided the transportation of goods services and he has not issued the consignment note. So in that case, that will not be considered as GTA. That will not be goods transport agency. It should be, or if it is mentioned it is registered as GTA, then it is fine. Otherwise, if it is not mentioned that it is a GTA, then it should be either it should be expressly mentioned in the question that it issues the consignment note, then it will be considered as GTA, or you will not consider it as GTA. You can take that assumption.
आपने तो थोड़ा बहुत भी नहीं कर रखा है भाई, हमें डायरेक्ट प्लस माइनस कर रखा है भाई डायरेक्टली।
Please mute yourself, Jayant.
अरे पर
So the yes. So I was telling you that consignment note is very, very important to consider any transporter as GTA. That should be mentioned in the question. अगर question में ये लिखा हुआ है कि वो GTA वो ट्रांसपोर्टर कंसाइनमेंट नोट इशू नहीं की करा है उस ट्रांसपोर्टर ने, then you will consider it to not to be a GTA and that service will become exempt. इनफैक्ट इससे मुझे एक और पॉइंट आपको बताना याद आता है, दैट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर द एग्जामिनेशन पर्पस. इफ इन क्वेश्चन यू हैव एनी डाउट रिगार्डिंग दिस एनी पॉइंट, for example the point which I was discussing just now, nothing is mentioned regarding the provider of transportation of services, transportation of goods. If goods are being transported and the person who is transporting the goods, nothing has been mentioned about him, that whether he is a GTA or not, whether he is issuing consignment note or not, then you have to take an assumption that you can take either of the assumption, but generally the assumption will be that he is not issuing consignment note, otherwise it should have been mentioned, or if had he been a GTA, that should also have been mentioned. तो आप दोनों में से कोई भी assumption लेके आंसर करोगे, but that assumption should be clearly mentioned in your answer. आपकी बहुत सारे receipts दिए हुए हैं, but you are not sure whether these receipts are inclusive of GST or exclusive of GST, then also you should take that assumption कि yes, all these receipts are inclusive of GST and accordingly I am answering my question, or they are exclusive. कोई भी और point है, if you want to have some information regarding previous year turnover and that is important for answering the question, but you do not have any information regarding that, then you can take any of the assumptions. Suppose 5 crore के turnover तक एक different treatment है, after 5 crore different treatment is there, then you have to take the assumption कि यहाँ 5 crore तक ये treatment रहेगा, 5 crore से ऊपर ये treatment है, तो मैंने इसमें assume कर लिया है कि लास्ट ईयर का टर्नओवर सप्लायर का was up to 5 crores and accordingly I have taken it this way. So that assumption is required. Now let us see what was the amendment in goods transport agency. So two things have been excluded now. Electronic commerce operator by whom the services of local delivery are provided, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर थ्रू whom the services of local delivery are provided. या तो इलेक्ट्रॉनिक कॉमर्स ऑपरेटर खुद से लोकल डिलीवरी सर्विसेज दे रहा है, जो कि अभी डिस्कस किया था, स्विगी जिनी इज देयर, देन रैपिडो इज देयर, दे आर ट्रांसपोर्टिंग योर पार्सल्स, और delivery services are being provided through them. So somebody is using these portals and he is providing the delivery services, that has also been excluded. So this completes the exemption portion. Now we will quickly cover the value of supply also, because we have very less time available with us. Let us complete value of supply. If time permits, we'll take one scenario quickly so that you get an idea. Value of supply. Now first one is evidence of compliance of conditions of 15(3)(b) clause 2 not required anymore. You know that post-supply discount is allowable as deduction only when two conditions are satisfied. First is that the discount should be known at the time of supply. When you are making the supply, then that discount should be known and that discount should be relatable to the invoice. That means you can work out invoice wise that yes, on this invoice, this much discount is given. So that should be workable invoice wise. That should be known to the recipient at the time of making the supply. First condition. Second condition is that the recipient, when discount is actually given to that recipient should reverse the proportionate ITC to the extent that discount has been given. Suppose discount is of 100 rupees, consideration was 1000 rupees, out of which 100 rupees discount has been given, and the tax paid, suppose on 1000 rupees we are paying a tax of 100 rupees, so on 100 rupees the tax will be only rupees 10. So 10 rupees should be reversed. Proportionate credit should be reversed by the recipient. Now earlier, whether the recipient has reversed the credit or not, for that, the undertaking was taken. An undertaking was taken from the chartered accountants or cost accountant. It was required, provided the amount of discount, the ITC attributable to the discount was 5 lakh rupees. So in case the amount of tax which was to be reversed, or the amount of tax which was payable on the discount amount, including compensation cess and all other taxes, it was whatever tax was involved in the discount, if that discount amount, that tax amount, it does not exceed rupees 5 lakh, then in that case the supplier could give an undertaking and that would have been sufficient. But in case that amount exceeds 5 lakh rupees, then the recipient has to take an undertaking from the chartered accountant or company cost and management accountant to certify that recipient has actually reversed the credit. Now this is actually now very obvious from the portal itself. So now this requirement has been done away with, because this was actually a compliance requirement and this has been done away with. This can easily be verified from other things. Okay, now read the next amendment and then we will discuss this. Just I will give you 1 minute to read the amendment and we'll discuss it. Value of supply in case of lottery. Just read the amendment. Now, in value of supply, lottery, betting, gambling, horse racing, the value was to be determined as per Rule 31A. Earlier, the value was the higher of the two amounts. Actually, earlier, why this change has been there? Earlier, the rate of tax was 28%. 28% rate was there. So the amount which we on the face value of the ticket we used to do the back calculation, and the amount was determined. So that is 100 upon 128 was to be done. Now the rate of lottery has been changed. Applicable rate of tax on lottery has been changed to 40%. So that is why that corresponding or consequential change has been done as 100 upon 140 in the formula. That only change in formula is there. I will quickly cover this clarification which is there regarding the post-sale discount. One more clarification is there. After that, we'll take one scenario. So those of you who want to cover this scenario, please stay with us and you will be able to cover it. Roshni Singh, can you please repeat the assumption point of GTA if supplier is a GTA or not? Okay, Roshni, quickly I will repeat it. Suppose in the question it is mentioned that a particular transporter is transporting goods and it is not mentioned whether that transporter has issued a consignment note or not, and it is also not mentioned explicitly in that question that that transporter is a goods transport agency. It is registered as a GT. It is not mentioned. So neither of the two information is given to you. You only know that XYZ is a transporter who is transporting goods for the supplier. Now, whether these services are received from a GTA or not, that is not known to you. And why is it important? Because if it is received from a GTA, it is taxable. If transportation of goods is done by a non-GTA, that means a local transporter, tempo owner, then that will not be considered as taxable. That will be exempt under entry 18. That we have just now we had discussed that. So now at this point of time, a student will get confused because he's not having the sufficient information. So what you have to do is you have to take either of the assumption. More logical assumption will be that he is not a GTA because otherwise it would have been mentioned that he is a GTA, or it would have been mentioned that he has issued the consignment. Either of the two information will be there. But if it is not given to you and you have a doubt in your mind that it can be a GTA also, then you can give the assumption. Or in fact, on similar grounds, I would say any other point in the exam, if you feel that you do not have the sufficient information required to solve the question, then in that case, you should take the assumption and you should solve the question accordingly. Now, the next point of the clarification was, this point we have already seen that the proportionate credit has to be reversed, but if the proportionate credit is arising out of a non GST commercial note. It's a financial commercial note or it's a commercial credit note. That means credit note issued under GST. Then if a credit note is issued under GST for a post sales discount, then only the ITC has to be reversed. But if a commercial note is a financial commercial note or it is a commercial credit note, why it will be a commercial credit note? Because what has happened is either the post sales discount was not known to the recipient in the first instance at the time of supply itself. So these conditions which we had discussed about the supply post sales discount, that first of all it should be known to the recipient at the time of making the supply, and it should be invoice wise relatable. So if either of these two conditions are not satisfied, then you will be giving the discount to your recipient through a commercial credit note. In that case, you will not issue credit note under GST because GST does not allow that as discount. But anyhow, आपको वो discount तो अपने recipient को देना है, तो आप उस discount के लिए commercial credit note issue करके उसको वो discount दे दोगे. अब उस डिस्काउंट के केस में आपको आईटीसी रिड्यूस करने की जरूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि आप जो डिस्काउंट दे रहे हो वो फाइनेंशियल या कमर्शियल क्रेडिट नोट से दे रहे हो, आप वो जीएसटी क्रेडिट नोट से नहीं दे रहे हो. In that case, their ITC reversal is not required. It is very obvious. It is given in our study material also, but just for clarification, I am telling you again because इसके ऊपर एक specific clarification आ गई है. Second clarification is post sales discount के केस में अगर आपके in case your manufacturer tells you that manufacturer tells the dealer that he has to give certain amount of discount to the end consumer. The purpose is to push the sales, to increase the sales. In that case, what happens? That discount is actually a discount allowable under section 15(3)(b). But if that discount, and that is not a consideration for the any supply, because उस case में consumer को वो कोई he is not getting any services from the dealer. Dealer is only giving that discount to the customers on the direction of the manufacturer for pushing the sales, for increasing the sales. That discount cannot be considered as consideration in monetary value for supply of these goods. That is not the consideration. That is a discount. But agar aapka if dealer is giving you any services for any promotional activities, for boosting the sales. Now, sales are also being increased through these activities. Also, he's giving some branding, advertising, marketing services to the manufacturer. In that case, that amount will not be post-sales discount. That amount will be considered as consideration. Now, we'll be taking one scenario. So let me open the, just a minute. Let me take you to the revision test paper. We have with us the faculty, one more faculty at Board of Studies. Shubhankar, please come. He is Shubhankar Manglik. He is there with us at Board of Studies for handling the paper of indirect tax law. Now he will be taking you through the case scenario which we have given in RTP, just to give you an idea that first of all you will get a reasoning for all the answers which are there in that case scenario, and moreover you will be able to know that how you have to read that scenario and then how you have to go through the specific questions, the provisions which will be applicable. So I am taking you to case scenario number 2, and now Shubhankar will take the session here onwards. Yes. So over to you, Shubhankar, with case scenario number 2.
So, for the practice purpose, let us take the case scenario from our latest RTP of the May 26 itself. Now, what this case scenario covers the multiple provisions of the different chapters, considering the value of supply, time of supply, advanced ruling, and the ITC also. So, generally what we used to do is sometimes we read the whole scenario and then we go to the question, then again we read the that scenario, and it actually duplicates and our efforts, and sometimes we forget that what are the facts of the case. So first, let's have a first quick review of the case scenario. Let us start. Then we will go to the question, and then we will come to the facts related to the question, and accordingly we will understand the answer. So the second case scenario starts with Hydrocool Enterprises, a partnership firm, is a supplier of the water coolers located in Kota, Rajasthan, and it is duly registered under the GST law in the state of the Rajasthan. It takes both the intra and the interstate supply in the ordinary course of the business. So let us first read the first MCQ, what it is talking about. Now come to the first MCQ. First MCQ is asking, determine the value of the water cooler supplied in January by Hydrocool Enterprises to the Chill Pure traders. Now coming to the facts, let us find out where the Chill Pure traders and what is the value of the supply and how we have to determine the value of the supply. Let us come to the facts. So here we can see in this paragraphs we are getting such words like Chill Pure traders, so we can easily find out the facts of the case in this paragraph. In the month of the January, Hydrocool Enterprises supplied water coolers to the Chill Pure traders Kerala, an unrelated party, for a consideration of the 2,95,000, including of the GST 18%. In addition to the monetary payment, Chill Pure traders also provided certain materials to the Hydrocool Enterprises as the additional consideration. These materials were valued at 10,000 rupees exclusive of the GST. At the same time, Hydrocool Enterprises supplied the water coolers of the same quality and the specification to the another related person for a price of 2,97,360, inclusive of the GST 18%. Now, as far as the facts are concerned, here we can see that we have to determine the value of the supply by Hydrocool Enterprises to the Chill Pure traders. But Chill Pure traders has not only given the price itself, but it has given some non-monetary consideration also. Now, when we talk about the non-monetary consideration, when we talk about the value of supply is determined on the basis of the transaction value. And what is the transaction value? The price which is paid or payable is the transaction value provided the price is the sole consideration and the supplier and the recipient is not a related person. But in this case, the price is not the sole consideration because the chill pure traders has also provided the certain material. Instead of giving the price, instead of giving the full money, it has given the certain materials also as an additional consideration. Now, the first condition that price is not the full consideration here fails. Now we have to determine the price transaction value that Hydrocool Enterprises have given same quality and the same specification water coolers to another related customer. So the transaction value shall be the price value of the supply, or we can say the transaction value shall be the 2,97,360. But here is the catch that this amount is inclusive of the GST. When we talk about the value of supply, we have to exclude the GST. So we have to divide this amount. We have to divide this amount by 118 and multiply that amount by 100. So then we will come to the fact that it will come to 2,52,000. So this will be the you can calculate by yourself. This will be the 2,52,000. So now I hope you have understood that concept and this scenario, this question also. Now moving ahead to the question number 8, time of supply of the data backup services, data backup and the database access services provided by the Apex Innovations. Now let us see the facts where the Apex Innovation is being there. Apexin Innovations are there. So this is the para which just talk about the time of supply and the contractual agreement and the services related to the database and the data access services. Now, Hydrocool Enterprises also entered into the contractual agreement with the Apexin and Innovations, an information technology service provider for the availing the data backup and service database. The details are, these are the details. This is the date on which Apex Innovation has raised the invoice. This is the date on 25th February, it dispatched the demand draft, and 28th February, the demand draft was received and recorded in the books of the Apex Innovations. Now, Apex Innovations encashed the demand draft on 3rd March, and it provided the database access to the Hydrocool Enterprises on the 4th March. Now, let us understand now after that. Sometimes what happens that some students used to read that table, but in exams, in the nervousness, there is the additional note or additional line. Sometimes students used to miss that. And because of that thing also itself, answer changes. Now, in this question, after this table, it says, in the meanwhile, the rate of the GST is changed from 18% to 5% on 1st March. When you go to the section 14 of the CGST Act, in the time of supply chapter, you will understand the fact that if the invoice has been raised and the payment has been made before the rate of change of the supply, before the change in rate of the tax, then in case the time of supply will be earlier of the date on which the invoice has been issued and the date of the payment. Now, date on which the invoice has been issued is 21st February, and the date on which the payment has been made shall be, date of payment shall be considered as the date on which it has been recorded in the books and the date in which it has been credited, whichever is earlier. So the date of payment between these two dates is this, and now the time of supply shall be considered between the 21st February, as we have seen the change in rate of taxes on 1st March. The time of the invoice is raised on 21st February and DD was issued on 20th February. So we can determine the time of supply shall be the date which is earlier of 21st February and 28th February. So what will be the time of supply in this case? It will be 21st February. I think you have understood this concept related to the time of supply. It covers the time of supply. It covers the change in the rate of tax. Determination of the time of supply when there is a change in the rate of tax. Now, moving ahead. In case of the transfer of the business to the DS, what is the amount of the input tax credit which shall be transferred to the DS? Now let us see where the DS is there in this scenario. Now facts related to the DS are mentioned here. Okay, so Hydrocool Enterprises intended to transfer the business as a going concern to Dhruv and Sons on the 31st March. As per the terms of the transfer, Hydrocool Enterprises will transfer all the business asset worth 15 lakhs and all the liabilities valued at 20 lakhs. Balance ITC was 40,000 as on 31st March 2000. As on 31st March. Now, we need to understand when we talk about the section 18 subsection 3, read with rule 41. You can note also section 18 subsection 3 rule, when it is being read with the rule 41, then it speaks that whenever any business has been transferred or merged or demerged, so in that case, or such conditions are there, or we can say that when there is a change in the constitution of the business or the transfer of the business, so whatever the amount of the ITC is being there, so whatever the amount of the unutilized ITC in the old firm, or we can say old entity, entire ITC shall be transferred to the newly constituted or the transferred entity. So in this case, since the balance ITC, the balance, or we can say unutilized ITC on 31st March was 40,000. So entire ITC, total ITC, which shall be transferred to the DS, or we can say Dhruv and Sons, shall be the 40,000. So in this case, the answer will be B, 40,000. Okay. Now, moving ahead. Which of the following statements is correct with respect to the incentive paid to the employees in March? So let's read the facts related to the incentives. These are the facts. In the month of March, as the financial year due to close, Hydro and Cool Enterprises launched a special performance-linked incentive to motivate its sales team. Under this scheme, each employee who achieved the targeted sales milestone was rewarded with a total incentive payment of 75,000. The incentive was a part of the employee's salary, formed part of the employment remuneration, and was subject to the applicable tax deduction at source under the Income Tax Act. Now, you have read the Schedule 3. Schedule 3 of the CGST Act specifies that when there is an employment contractual employee and employer relationships are there, then in that case, services provided in course of the employment by the employees to the employer is not the supply, and GST is not chargeable to the same. It has been clearly mentioned that the incentive was part of the employee salary structure. So in that case, neither it is a supply of a good nor it is a supply of the services, and covered in the negative list, or we can say the non-supplies under the GST, which has been covered in the Schedule 3 of the CGST Act. Accordingly, we will answer this. This is the answer, that GST is not payable since it has been covered in the Schedule 3. Okay, hope you understand. Now, coming to the last question. In relation to the advance ruling order received by the hydrocooling enterprises in the Rajasthan, it is asking then on whose jurisdictional officers this advance ruling is binding upon. Let us see. In February, so this is the facts of the case related to the advance ruling. Hydrocool Enterprises got a favorable advance ruling order on a particular issue from the authority of the advanced ruling, Rajasthan. The application was filed by the advanced Hydrocool Enterprises through its registered place of the business in Rajasthan. Please mention that it has been clearly saying the registered application was filed through the registered place of business in the Rajasthan. When you talk about, when you see the section 103 of the CGST Act, which is mentioned in the chapter of the advanced ruling, it clearly speaks that advanced ruling pronounced by any authority, whether it is an authority of the advanced ruling or advanced authority, appellate authority of the advanced ruling, it in that case, the ruling shall be binding only on the applicant and the jurisdiction officer or the concerned officer or in respect of the applicant. That means at the place where the applicant shall file the application about the advance ruling, in that jurisdiction only or only on that jurisdiction officer, such advance ruling shall be applied. So in this case, what are the options? It is asking whether it is applicable binding on all the officers or all the states or only on such officer in Rajasthan or across the India. So accordingly, we know that the applicant had made the application for the advance ruling in the registered place of the business from the Rajasthan itself. So the order will be binding on the Hydrocool Enterprises and the jurisdiction officer in Rajasthan only. I hope you have understand this scenario, these provisions. If you have any query, you can ask the same. Okay. Any query? If anybody want to raise any such query, if you lacked any provision or something you missed out. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed this session. You learned a lot from this session. And soon the exams are approaching soon. I wish you all the best for your exams. Prepare well. Make sure to read all the concepts and all the provisions from the study material. Don't skip any question. Don't skip any RTPs, MTPs, and other resources which has been provided by the Institute of the Chartered Accountants of India for your practice. And I wish you all the very best for your exams. And if you have any query, you can ask the same on the Ask Your Query portal, which will be answered very soon. So, okay, I think there is some. Okay, Roshni is asking, sir, instead of changing the rate of the MCQ 8, if it was a normal MCQ, then what will be the answer? What will be the time of supply? Again, because both the events has been made before the change of the rate of the change in the rate of the tax. So in that case also the answer will be the same. That is time invoice and the date of payment, whichever is earlier. Okay. Okay. Okay, Roshni. So with this case scenario, let us wrap up the session. Anybody wants to ask something? You can unmute also and you can ask verbally as well. Okay. Thank you so much, students, for attending this session. And I wish you all the best that you pass this exam with the flying colors. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Uh, Thank you, Vishal. Thank you, Anand. Ashok, we can close this session. Over. Thank you.